Chapter 4071. Ghost King. Everyone was shocked and looked at Lei Ling in disbelief. Among them, only Lei Ling had cultivated the eye technique superpower. Hence, in the black fog, Lei Ling's vision was much further than theirs. That is indeed the Ghost King, and this Ghost King is walking towards us. I guess the reason why the Ghost King Ridge's teleportation is ineffective is because of the Ghost King. Lei Ling took a deep breath and said in a low voice. Sa Mei Ta Sheng Bing Yu and the rest gasped. What should we do? That is the Ghost King. A female cultivator said helplessly. Everyone was silent and no one answered her question as they did not know what to do. Boom, boom. The footsteps were getting heavier and closer to them. As for the surrounding ghosts, they were trembling. They did not launch an attack, but waited silently for the Ghost King. Won't, come out. I know you are there. A thunderous voice came from the front. It was the Ghost King's voice and it reverberated in the sky. Lei Ling and the rest were shocked. They could not believe that the Ghost King had come here for Zhuan. Although they knew that Zhuan was strong, they could not imagine how Zhuan had offended the Ghost King. After all, the Ghost King had been sealed in the sealed ground and the two of them had never come into contact. You destroyed my incarnation and tried to stop me from breaking the seal. Come out and accept your death. Then, the Ghost King's voice was heard again. Everyone then understood why the Ghost King was looking for Zhuan. The incarnation of the Ghost King? How did Junior Marshal Brother Zhuan manage to kill it? It was placed in the sealed ground by the tribe leader. Tu Ah Sheng mumbled to himself anxiously. Lei Ling, Bing Yu and the rest were also puzzled, but they were in awe of Zhuan's strength. It was terrifying that he could destroy the incarnation of the Ghost King by himself. On the other hand, Sa Mei's beautiful eyes were filled with complex emotions. She had already guessed the reason why Zhuan had parted ways with her and entered the Ghost King Ridge. Ghost King? In the depths of the cave, Zhuan suddenly opened his eyes, which emitted an intense and sharp light. At this moment, an extremely terrifying aura was emanating from Zhuan's body. This aura was like an abyss, like an ocean, like a mountain, and unfathomable. He sighed softly. In these 3 days, he had indeed completely refined the crystal of the Ghost King's incarnation. However, he had not been able to successfully advance to the ancient star transformation. He had only taken half a step into it. He knew very well that the reason he couldn't successfully enter the ancient star transformation wasn't because he didn't have enough cultivation energy, but because he didn't have enough comprehension of the ancient star transformation. As long as he comprehended the true meaning of the ancient star transformation, he would be able to advance to the ancient star transformation. Damn it, why did the Ghost King have to come out at this time? Zhuan's face turned ugly. He stood up and rushed out of the cave. At the same time, the Ghost King had already arrived at where Lei Ling and the others were. He was silently looking down on Lei Ling and the others, as if he was looking down on ants with contempt and disdain. Lei Ling, Bing Yu, and the others looked at the Ghost King in front of them. Their bodies trembled, and their legs turned to jelly. It's just a bunch of ants. That guy isn't here. Ants, it's better for you to die. The Ghost King shook his head. His right hand descended from the sky and mercilessly struck Lei Ling and the others. Let's fight. Lei Ling, Bing Yu, and the others were considered top geniuses in Huxley. Although they knew that they were no match for the Ghost King, they knew that they couldn't allow themselves to be captured. They all took out their divine demons and sacred weapons to meet the Ghost King's attack. Unfortunately, their combined attack was too weak. The moment it came into contact with the Ghost King's palm, it shattered. It's over. Lei Ling looked at the scene and his face turned pale. His eyes were filled with despair. The others also closed their eyes in despair. Rumble. Just as the Ghost King's palm was about to land and crush everyone, a figure rushed out at an incredible speed and blocked the palm. Purple golden energy surged into the sky like a tidal wave, turning into a towering purple divine tree that stood in front of the palm. Bang! A strong collision sound was heard. The entire space of Ghost King Ridge was shattered and collapsed. The Ghost King's huge palm was blocked. The figure that was supporting the purple sacred tree groaned and retreated. As for the purple divine tree, it seemed to have dimmed a little. Why aren't you running? Jun had just stabilized himself when he shouted at Lei Ling, Sa Mei, and the others. Lei Ling and the others had just recovered from the earth-shattering collision when they heard Zhuowen's shout. They all took out their flying sacred weapons and quickly fled. Sa Mei and Tua Sheng stayed behind and looked at Zhuowen with determination. "Why aren't you running?" Zhuowen frowned and shouted. "Junior brother Zhuo, you've done me a great favor. Although I'm not powerful enough, I can repay your kindness with my life." Tua Sheng bowed deeply and said solemnly, "Senior brother Zhuo, Master told me to stay close to you in Ghost King Ridge. So I can't leave." Sa Mei said resolutely. Zhuowen frowned slightly but did not say anything. He landed beside the two of them. At this moment, the Ghost King looked at his palm and then at Shun. He sneered and said, "You lowly human. I didn't expect your strength to have improved. This exorcism power disgusts me even more. It's a pity that you're facing my real body. So what if your exorcism power has a great suppressive effect on me? I can still crush you." The Ghost King was filled with murderous intent. His mountain-like palm hit the purple sacred tree again. Every time he hit it, terrifying energy ripples and waves burst out. Zhuowen spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was as pale as snow. The Ghost King was right. The gap between him and the Ghost King was too big. Even if the exorcism power had a great suppressive effect on the Ghost King, it could not make up for the huge gap between them. As the Ghost King continued to hit it, the purple sacred tree, no matter how magical and resistant it was, gradually dimmed. However, Zhuowen was very calm. There was no trace of panic in his eyes. Sa Mei and Tua Sheng were already prepared to die. They were also very calm. The Ghost King laughed complacently. He hit it again. Heaven and earth cracked and the sun and moon dimmed. He believed that with this hit, the purple sacred tree would completely disintegrate. Zhuowen and the others would also die under this hit. However, he did not see the intense light in Zhuowen's eyes. What's more, they didn't see Zhuowen's 10 fingers moving together, as well as the obscure runes surging out from his hands. The Ghost King's palm fell, but it did not collide with the purple sacred tree. This was because the purple sacred tree had been retracted into Zhuowen's body. Chapter 4072. Ghost King Ridge was Huxley's forbidden area. Since ancient times, there had been many formation masters in the clan who had constantly set up various prohibitions in Ghost King Ridge. These restrictive spells were too powerful. They formed an invisible barrier around the Ghost King Ridge, completely isolating the Ghost King Ridge from the outside world, forming a world of its own. After countless years of accumulation, the power of the prohibitions in Ghost King Ridge had reached a terrifying level. When Zhuowen first entered the Ghost King Ridge, he had already noticed this. Therefore, in the process of entering Ghost King Ridge, he had thoroughly studied all the prohibitions in Ghost King Ridge and had a good understanding of them. Just now, when he blocked the Ghost King's attack with the purple divine tree, he had secretly communicated with the core of countless prohibitions in Ghost King Ridge with his own formation inscriptions. At this moment, he had completely grasped the core of the prohibitions. It could be said that countless prohibitions in Ghost King Ridge were under his control. The Ghost King was shocked. His right hand and even his whole body were wrapped in dense formation inscriptions. He was like a drowning man, constantly struggling in the formation inscriptions, trying to leave the sea of formation inscriptions. The Ghost King was indeed powerful. Every move of his was full of terrifying destructive energy. The energy of Ghost King Ridge's prohibitions and formation inscriptions was suppressed by him. However, there were too many prohibitions in Ghost King Ridge, as if they were endless and completely restrained the Ghost King. "Let's go! The transmission of Ghost King Ridge has begun. We just need to rush out of the black fog and we can leave Ghost King Ridge." As Zhuowen spoke, he rushed to the sky with Sa Mei and Tua Sheng. There, the black fog lingered, blocking the light of transmission. "Human, you have angered me. You can't escape today." The Ghost King's furious voice came from below. Then, the endless ghost chi of Ghost King Ridge gathered around the Ghost King and finally materialized into a huge black spear. The tip of the black spear and the body of the staff were in the shape of a black skull. Its empty eye sockets were bursting with scarlet light. When the ghost head spear comes out, all living beings will be plunged into misery and suffering. The Ghost King's cold voice came from below. Then he suddenly threw the ghost head spear. With a swoosh, the ghost head spear shot through the air and broke through the barrier of the formation. It rushed into the sky and chased after Zhuan. The Ghost King was once again submerged by the endless array pattern ocean. With his powerful ghost chi, he was constantly resisting the power of the array pattern of the entire Ghost King Ridge. At this moment, Zhuan and the other two were already extremely close to the end of the black fog. They could even see glimmers of light behind the black fog. The closer they got to the end of the black fog, the more impulsive the teleportation energy in their bodies became, as if they would be teleported away at any moment. The three of them were overjoyed. They knew that as long as they broke through the black fog, they would be able to leave the Ghost King Ridge. But soon, Zhuan's expression changed. His divine sense had already discovered the rapidly approaching ghost head spear. Zhuan abruptly stopped and turned around to face the ghost head spear that was flying straight towards him. His eyelids kept twitching, and his heart was covered by the shadow of death. Although he had not yet faced the ghost head spear, he could keenly sense that the ghost head spear was very terrifying and could tear him to pieces. It could be said that with his current strength, he was not strong enough to fight against the ghost head spear. But he had to face it, because the ghost head spear's aura had completely locked onto him. Tua Sheng and Sa Mei also discovered the ghost head spear below. Their expressions changed greatly, and they wanted to stop. But a powerful force pushed the two of them into the black fog. Then, Zhuan's voice sounded in their minds. "You go first, I'll be right behind you." The moment they were pushed into the black fog, they were enveloped by the teleportation light and left the Ghost King Ridge. "Boy, you're going to die. You're just a half-step ancient star transformation. If you can make me use my divine sense to deal with you, you can die with no regrets." Below the Ghost King Ridge, the Ghost King casually tore apart the entangling array pattern. His eyes fell on the figure in midair. He was very confident that his ghost head spear was enough to tear Zhuan apart. Zhuan took a deep breath. He knew that this was a moment of life and death. Naturally, he could not hold back. Zhuan took out an irregular large seal from the Great Realm. This large seal was too ordinary. If it were not for the strange engravings on the bottom, most people would not even be able to tell that it was a large seal. And this large seal was the Grand Imperial Seal that Zhuan had accidentally obtained from the fallen Star Mountain. It was suspected to be a divine artifact that surpassed the heavens. It was very mysterious. Ever since he had obtained the Grand Imperial Seal, Zhuan had been constantly studying this item. Although the results were minimal, he had figured out some tricks. Zhuan injected his divine power into the Grand Imperial Seal. Suddenly, the Grand Imperial Seal was like a whale sucking in water, crazily absorbing Zhuan's divine power. Zhuan's face was pale. Although he was now much stronger than when he was at the Fallen Star Mountain, and his divine power was also more vigorous, he still could not withstand the Grand Imperial Seal's crazy absorption. After absorbing the divine power, the Grand Imperial Seal suddenly emitted a mysterious starlight. Following this, the palm-sized Emperor Tai's seal rapidly expanded and turned into a small mountain over 10 zhang tall emitting starlight. After such a long period of research, Zhuan's only reward was to use his divine power to make the Grand Imperial Seal bigger. Moreover, with his current divine power, he could only make the Grand Imperial Seal into the shape of a small mountain. But this was enough. After all, the Grand Imperial Seal was not an ordinary item. The ghost head spear finally arrived and nailed itself onto the Grand Imperial Seal. Then a scene that shocked Zhuan and the Ghost King appeared. The Grand Imperial Seal did not move an inch, but the ghost head spear seemed to have suffered a heavy blow and dissipated into black mist. Zhuan could no longer withstand the Grand Imperial Seal's crazy absorption. He immediately cut off the supply of divine power. With a pale face, he put the Grand Imperial Seal into his great realm. Without hesitation, he turned around and charged into the black mist and was teleported out of the Ghost King Ridge. In the Ghost King Ridge, the Ghost King stared blankly at this scene. He did not move and allowed the formation to tear his body apart. My ghost head spear was torn apart at the first touch. Where did that thing come from? The Ghost King stomped his foot and the ghost chi turned into a gust of wind, dispersing the formation around him. His scarlet eyes shone with a strange light. I have underestimated this human again. Interesting, very interesting. Zhuan, right? I am getting more and more interested in you. The Ghost King laughed and formed a seal with his hands. Instantly, the black mist in the Ghost King ridge transformed into the gigantic Ghost King's body. These phantoms of the Ghost Kings gathered around the Ghost Kings and merged with the two Ghost Kings' bodies. The Ghost King's aura continued to increase, becoming more and more powerful and terrifying. If Zhuan saw this scene, he would be dumbfounded. It turned out that the Ghost King's power that forced him to use the Grand Imperial Seal was not his full strength. Chapter 4073. Outside the Ghost King Ridge, Lu Renjue, the leader of the Huxley clan, looked gloomily at the quiet entrance of the Ghost King Ridge. The 1-month time limit was up. Logically speaking, everyone in the Ghost King Ridge should have been teleported out. Why was there no movement now? The situation was a bit abnormal. Lu Renjue, who was uneasy, couldn't help but look at the leaders of the 3 clans not far away. He found that they were not worried at all. Instead, they were calm, which made Lu Renjue feel that something was wrong. As time passed, the Ghost King Ridge was still terribly quiet. Even though Lu Renjue used the light of transmission several times, no one was teleported out. The people of the Huxley clan, who were waiting outside the Ghost King Ridge, also realized that something was wrong. They whispered to each other and looked quite serious. What's wrong with Fu Ming and the others? Why haven't they come out yet? Yuri, who thought that victory was in his hands, frowned slightly and had an ominous feeling in his heart. After Fu Ming and the other 2 handed the Divine Soul contract to the Ghost King, they had already sensed that Fu Ming and the other 2 had successfully completed the task. However, the Ghost King Ridge was an independent world, surrounded by dense and powerful restriction formations. The inner and outer worlds couldn't contact each other through the communication Jade Charm. Therefore, Yuri clan only knew that Fu Ming and the other 2 had successfully handed the Divine Soul contract to the Ghost King, but they didn't know what had happened inside. Seeing that Fu Ming and the other 2 hadn't come out yet, Yuri clan, Ling Yenyu clan, and Xiao Zihui clan were quite anxious. Suddenly, a huge roar came from the Ghost King Ridge, and then it shook violently, as if there was an unprecedented earthquake. Then, they found that several lights finally appeared at the entrance of the Ghost King Ridge. When the lights disappeared, Lu Renjue, King Godthunder, and the other experts of the Huxley clan, who had been waiting nervously, were relieved. Because the people who were teleported here by the lights were Lei Ling, Bing Yu, and the others. However, what surprised them was that Lei Ling and the others were in a mess. They were covered with wounds, and there was unconcealable exhaustion in their eyes. King Godthunder and the other 9 lords, led by King Godthunder, hurried to welcome them. Those who came back this time were basically the disciples of the 9 lords. Nephew Lei Ling, where is Zongtuo? The giant bear king could not help but ask with a frown when he noticed that there was no one in the crowd. Luke also scanned the group. When he didn't find Jun and Sa Mei, he had a bad feeling. Lei Ling looked at Giant Bear King and smiled bitterly. Lord Giant Bear King, Zongtuo has already died in Ghost King Ridge. What? How could this be? With Tuata's strength, as long as he did not go deep into the Ghost King Ridge, he would not have to worry about his life. He must have killed them. It was that Zhuan who killed them, right? The Giant Bear King roared in grief and indignation. He glared viciously at Valurium King Luke, who had fallen behind him. He didn't even try to hide the murderous intent in his eyes. Luke was furious and said, "Giant Bear King, don't go too far. If you don't have any evidence, don't slander me." Alright. Stop arguing. What time is it now? Why are you still arguing? Lu Renjue shouted coldly. Then he looked at Lei Ling and continued, "Lei Ling, what happened in the Ghost King Ridge? Now that the deadline is up, why are you the only ones who have come out?" Lu Renjue was frustrated. According to past experience, all the practitioners in the Ghost King Ridge should have been teleported out at this time. But now, there were only a few people in front of him. Lu Renjue felt that something was wrong. The rest of them are dead. They were all killed by Fu Ming, Jian Wuqing, and Leng Feifei. The three of them entered the Ghost King Ridge with evil intentions. They wanted to kill all of Huxley's people who entered the Ghost King Ridge. Lei Ling said angrily. Lei Ling was furious. Everyone was shocked. Lei Ling's news was too shocking. If Junior Brother Zhua hadn't saved us, we would have died. Speaking of which, Junior Brother Zhua, Sa Mei, and Tu Ah Xing haven't come back yet? Bing Yu, who had been silent for a long time, also spoke. His tone was perfect, and he didn't hide his gratitude to Zhua. They haven't come out yet? Lu Renjue replied gloomily. After saying that, he looked coldly at Yuri, Leng Yanyu, and Xiao Zihui, who were not far away. He really didn't expect the three big clans to be so vicious. Huxley had made a big concession and allowed their juniors to enter the Ghost King Ridge. But the three big clans slaughtered Huxley's young geniuses without any scruples. They wanted to cut off the inheritance of Huxley. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the Ghost King Ridge shook violently again. Everyone outside the Ghost King Ridge could deeply feel the horror of the tremors. What happened in the Ghost King Ridge? Lu Renjue asked gloomily. However, what he saw was the pale faces of Lei Ling and the others. This made Lu Renjue's heart skip a beat. He hurriedly asked them. The answer he got was like a heavy blow to Lu Renjue, and he froze on the spot. The Ghost King had broken out of the seal. At this moment, it was wantonly destroying the interior of the Ghost King Ridge. The three great guardians, Huxley, and the 9 lords were all shocked by the answer. They couldn't believe it. For countless years, the Ghost King had been suppressed in the Ghost King Ridge. Nothing had ever happened to it, and the seal had been strengthened frequently. Why did the Ghost King break out of the seal at this time? Yuri, Leng Yanyu, Xiao Zihui. Look at what you've done. Lu Renjue roared angrily and rushed towards the 3 godly ships that the 3 big clans were on. After hearing the news, he immediately thought of the 3 big clans. He knew very well that the Ghost King must have broken out of the seal because of Fu Ming and the other 2. Otherwise, no matter how powerful the Ghost King was, it couldn't have broken the seal alone. Yuri and the other 2 narrowed their eyes and looked coldly at Lu Renjue, who had almost lost his mind. A faint smile appeared on their lips. Boom! Yuri took a step forward and punched out with his right hand like a knife, fiercely colliding with Lu Renjue. A thunderous sound rang out, and then Yuri and Lu Renjue both retreated dozens of steps. In the void, there was a continuous sound of explosions, and the surrounding space seemed to be stirred up by the terrifying energy. Countless fish-scale-like cracks appeared in the void. Everyone sucked in a breath and retreated a distance. The collision of 2 peak ancient star transformation realm experts was too terrifying. If they were too close, they wouldn't be able to survive. Patriarch Lu, what do you mean by this? Do you want to start a domain war? Yuri waved his sleeve and snorted. Chapter 4074. Lu Renjue's voice wasn't soft, and everyone present heard him clearly. Most of the experts from Huxley didn't know the details, so when Lu Renjue and Yuri attacked, they were worried for them. Now that Lu Renjue had told them the truth, their anger was completely ignited. They had killed Huxley's talented disciples and released the Ghost King. They had gone too far. Moreover, many of the experts' disciples had entered the Ghost King Ridge. Now that they knew that their disciples hadn't died and that they had been killed by Fu Ming and the others, they were furious. In an instant, the experts of the Hushu clan surrounded the people of the other 3 clans with tacit understanding. Yuri didn't panic. He smiled faintly and said, "Leader Lu, the Ghost King Ridge is a dangerous place. It's normal for people to die. Just because a few of your disciples died, you blamed everything on our disciples. I have to say, your Huxley the clan is really narrow-minded." Lu Renjue's eyes were red with anger. This Yuri was simply twisting the truth and blaming Huxley for being narrow-minded. It was too disgusting. Leng Yanyu and Xiao Zihui flew out of the divine ship and appeared beside Lu Renjue, looking at him with hostility. The leaders of the 3 clans all released terrifying auras to suppress Lu Renjue. At the same time, figures with powerful auras flew out of the divine ship of the 3 clans. They were all experts at the ancient star transformation realm. Lu Renjue's expression changed slightly. Looking at the figures with powerful auras, he realized that the three clans had come prepared. They had actually sent out all their elites. Huxley's leader, the three protectors, and the 9 Huxley kings only had 13 experts at the ancient star transformation realm or above. The three clans weren't much weaker than Huxley. This time, they had sent out 50 to 60 ancient star transformation realm experts. The difference in strength between the two was too obvious, even though Huxley had the geographical advantage. However, if they really went all out against the three great clans, both sides would definitely suffer great losses. Lu Renjue raised his right hand, indicating for the surrounding people to retreat first. Chief, don't forget that you're still in Huxley's territory. When your disciples come out, I'll personally confront them. Today, you three clans must give me, Huxley, an explanation. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving Huxley. Lu Renjue coldly snorted and brought everyone to the other side of the Ghost King Ridge. However, he did not let down his guard, and instead used his divine sense to contact Lu Yuanba in the dark. At the same time, Lu Renjue had also sent out an urgent notice to summon all of Huxley's God Formation Masters to the Ghost King Ridge in order to strengthen the Ghost King Ridge's restrictions. Yuri and the other two furrowed their brows, not daring to act rashly. This was because they felt a faint divine sense land on them. This divine sense was too strong. Although it was weak, the unique aura of a superior made Yuri and the others' hair stand on end. They immediately thought of the realm protector. However, Yuri was not worried. They knew that they had already succeeded in the Ghost King Ridge, which meant that they had a 70% chance of success. As long as nothing unexpected happened, their plan would succeed. Suddenly, 2 rays of light appeared at the entrance of the Ghost King Ridge, and a man and woman appeared. Sa Mei. Tushing. When Luke and the Imperial Dragon King saw the man and woman, they were pleasantly surprised. They hurriedly rushed over and asked about their well-being. Lu Renjue's expression also became slightly better, but his heart was still heavy. Because he had not seen the person he wanted to see the most, which was Jun. Jun was the person he looked forward to the most in the younger generation. He also thought that Huxley's most powerful rising genius. He did not want such a genius to fall in the Ghost King Ridge. Sa Mei, where is Juan? When Luke did not see Juan, his heart skipped a beat and he hurriedly asked. Sa Mei sobbed, Master. In order to help us leave the Ghost King Ridge, senior brother Zhua faced the Ghost King himself at the last moment. Ta Sheng's face was also full of disappointment, and his heart was full of guilt. What? Face the Ghost King? Luke was shocked. Although he knew that Juan was very powerful, he did not think that Juan could contend with the Ghost King. That was a terrifying expert of the great carefree realm. No matter how strong Juan was, how could he be the opponent of such an expert? Especially now, the dense and terrifying movements coming from the Ghost King Ridge showed how powerful the Ghost King was. Lu Renjue sighed deeply. The junior he valued the most could not escape the fate of falling in the end. At the same time, many of Huxley's formation masters had gathered outside the Ghost King Ridge. They quickly set up seals and began to strengthen the prohibition of the Ghost King Ridge. Although the Ghost King had broken the seal, the prohibition in the Ghost King Ridge had been accumulated for countless years. Lu Renjue was not worried that the Ghost King could easily leave the Ghost King Ridge. Yuri, Leng Yanyu, and Xiao Zihue felt that something was wrong. Huxley's disciples had already come out in 2 batches. Why was there no movement from Fu Ming and the other 2? Patriarch Yu, what should we do now? If we let them strengthen the prohibition of the Ghost King Ridge, the Ghost King won't be able to come out for a while. And now is not the time for our domain guardian to make a move. Leng Yanyu secretly transmitted a message to Yuri. The Ghost King must come out. If Huxley's domain guardian makes a move, we can only use that thing. Let's do it. After Yuri secretly transmitted this message, he led the elite experts of the Jinshui clan and rushed towards the Ghost King Ridge with a murderous aura. Patriarch Lu, my disciple Fu Ming hasn't come out yet, and you want to seal the Ghost King Ridge. You're too much. You're deliberately trying to strangle the geniuses of our 3 clans. Yuri said righteously, and led the crowd to launch a strong attack on the formation masters who were strengthening the prohibition. Not good. Lu Renjue's expression changed drastically. He didn't expect Yuri to be so shameless as to attack the formation masters. Lu Renjue had no choice but to lead the 3 Great Guardians and Hushuan 9 Kings to block Yuri's group. Boom, boom, boom. However, Lu Renjue's group had fewer people after all. They could only block Yuri's group. As for the clan elites brought by Leng Yanyu and Xiao Zihui, they couldn't stop them at all. They could only watch as the attacks of these 2 groups landed on the group of formation masters. Cries of agony could be heard continuously. 30% of the formation masters were killed on the spot, while the rest of the formation masters were either severely injured or lightly injured. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu didn't show any mercy. They continued to launch fierce attacks on the remaining formation masters. Chapter 4075. Jinshui Clan, Purple Mirage and God's Eye, don't you think you've gone too far? How dare you cause trouble in Huxley? Do you really think that I don't exist? A figure floated out from the depths of Huxley City. It looked like it was floating slowly, but it was actually extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Ghost King Ridge. Only then did everyone see that this figure was a white-haired old man. However, his eyes were very bright, like stars. Ancestor. The moment Huxley and the others saw this old man, they all revealed excited expressions. The 3 great clans were shocked and looked at the old man in front of them with fear. They also recognized the old man's identity. It was the Huxley Realm Guardian, Lu Yunba. What are you waiting for? Take out that thing. Yuri's eyes hardened as he took out a transparent bead from his spirit ring. The inside of the transparent bead was a field of chaos. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu also took out similar transparent beads. Lu Yunba, who had been strolling leisurely, changed his expression the moment he saw the transparent beads in their hands. Universal World Projection Beads. Du. Lu Yunba shouted in shock and anger. Yuri and the others sneered and took out the transparent beads in their hands. In an instant, the silhouettes of 3 worlds appeared in the sky. These 3 world shadows were filled with terrifying calamities, including wind, fire, and thunder. What was even more terrifying was that in each world, there was a gigantic figure that reached the heavens and the earth. These 3 figures were too imposing, and the aura they exuded was even more terrifying. Lu Yunba, long time no see. You, a realm guardian, actually attacked a junior of the Jinshui clan. You've gone too far. The huge shadow above Yuri's head said sarcastically. We kindly sent our juniors to your clan, and this is how you treat your guests. How rude. The Purple Mirage Realm Guardian's shadow also sneered. Lu Yunba's face was gloomy. He didn't expect the 3 great clans to come prepared. They actually brought the Universal World Projection Beads of their respective realm guardians. The so-called Universal World Projection Beads, in fact, were condensed from a portion of the power of a great carefree realm expert's universal world. Generally speaking, the power of the Universal World Projection Bead was only 30% of the body's power. But this was still very terrifying, enough to get rid of all the experts below the great carefree realm. Lu Yunba, it was your Hushu clan that was in the wrong first. Our actions are not against the rules of the realm. After the God's Eye Realm Guardian finished speaking, the huge shadow of a world descended from the sky, rumbling toward Lu Yunba. His huge shadow, following the shadow of the world, strode forward and unceremoniously attacked Lu Yunba. The shadows of the Jinshui clan and the Purple Mirage Realm Guardians also moved, surrounding Lu Yunba in a triangular formation. Saika Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi, Ling Xinghai, if the 3 of you had come here in your true form, I would still be a little wary. But if it's just your projections, I don't care. Lu Yunba coldly snorted, his body moving without wind, and swept high into the sky. In the void behind him, an incomparably huge world appeared. This was the universal world formed by the universal tribulation, the first stage of the great carefree realm. The only difference was that Lu Yunba's universal world was much more solid than the universal world of the 3 shadows, as if it was a real world. In his world, There were all kinds of terrifying tribulations, and he was like the master of this world. All the tribulations had become his sharpest weapon, under his control. But Yuri and the others smiled. They knew that the shadow of the three realm guardians was not Lu Yuanba. But their goal was not to defeat Lu Yuanba, but to delay Lu Yuanba. Boom! Boom! Lu Yuanba shot out like a bolt of lightning. Boundless great calamity of heaven and earth descended from the sky and blasted on the three phantoms. The three shadows were not to be outdone. They rushed into the sky and engaged in a fierce battle with Lu Yuanba. Waves of universal tribulation energy surged, and the surrounding people did not dare to casually approach this battle group. And without Lu Yuanba's obstruction, the elite experts of the Purple Mirage and God's Eye, under the leadership of Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu, began to wantonly slaughter the formation masters around the Ghost King Ridge. And although the rest of Huxley's experts desperately tried to stop them, the difference between the two sides was too great, and they were basically killed by the experts of the two clans. Corpses fell one after another, and blood flowed endlessly, converging into a blood-red stream in front of the Ghost King Ridge. Lu Renjue looked at Huxley's clansmen dying in front of his eyes. He was furious and began to fight Yuri with all his might. He wanted to go over and save his clansmen. Unfortunately, Yuri only sneered. He was like a sticky candy, clinging to Lu Renjue, and did not give him the slightest chance to escape. No. How did things come to this? Lei Ling, Sa Mei, Bing Yu, and a group of juniors hid in a corner, trembling in fear as they watched the cruel massacre in front of them. They were only the new generation of Huxley's clansmen. Although they had experienced many battles, they had never experienced such a cruel massacre. Moreover, the three clans had basically sent out experts above the ancient star transformation. They were too weak and would be nothing more than cannon fodder if they went up. Attack the Ghost King Ridge, and forcibly break the restriction on the surface of the ridge. Yuri quickly transmitted a message to Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu, and the two of them naturally understood. After slaughtering all of Huxley's array godmasters, Xiao Zihui and Ling Yanyu led the group and began to attack the restriction on the surface of the Ghost King Ridge. Originally, the Ghost King Ridge was already on the verge of collapse due to the internal attacks of the Ghost King. Now, it was being attacked by the Purple Mirage, God's Eye, and many other ancient star transformation experts. Under such a pincer attack, the restriction on the surface of the Ghost King Ridge began to crack, and a crisp cracking sound could be heard. Not good, the restriction on the Ghost King Ridge is about to be broken. Lu Renjue was shocked, but he was still being held down by Yuri and could not escape at all. Lu Yuanba also noticed the situation and was shocked and angry. He suddenly shouted and used his tricolored catastrophe sword. In his Qian Kun world, three extremely powerful catastrophe energy were casually gathered by him and formed into a tricolored divine sword. Crackle! The surface of the tricolored catastrophe sword flashed with a trace of intense, terrifying energy ripples and a sharp and terrifying aura. That Lu Yuanba shouted as the tricolored catastrophe sword in his hand formed, and it split into three sword lights, shooting into the three world shadows. The tricolored catastrophe sword's power was indeed terrifying, and the three world shadows did not last long before they all collapsed. Chapter 4076. Ha! After being trapped for countless years, this king has finally broken free. Accompanied by the terrifying ghost Qi was an extremely savage laughter. At this moment, everyone in Huxley was ashen. They knew that the Ghost King had successfully broken free. Yuri, look at what you've done. You should know how terrifying the Ghost King is. After he comes out, not only will our Huxley suffer, your Jinshui clan will also face a great calamity. Lu Renjue was trembling with anger. He attacked Yuri while cursing loudly. Yuri sneered and said, "Patriarch Lu, have you not seen the situation clearly? We deliberately let the Ghost King out. Before we let him out, did you think we didn't have a backup plan? Don't worry, the Ghost King won't do anything to our Jinshui clan. He will only bite your Huxley. Bastard!" Lu Renjue flew into a rage and launched a fierce attack on Yuri without any regard for his life. The pressure on Yuri increased greatly, but his strength was not inferior to Lu Renjue's, so he was able to deal with it. Boom boom boom. Savage laughter continuously resounded in the sky above the Ghost King Ridge. Then, a large hand reached out from the Ghost King Ridge and tore apart the few remaining restrictions on the surface of the Ghost King Ridge. Then, another large hand reached out. Two mountain-like arms supported themselves on the ground and suddenly exerted force. The earth burst open. Accompanied by rolling tremors, the Ghost King's enormous body finally emerged from the nearly shattered Ghost King Ridge. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu had already retreated a distance with the Purple Mirage and God's Eye clansmen. Although the Ghost King had signed a soul contract with the three great clans, he could not attack them. But if they were careless and were struck by the energy shockwaves created by the Ghost King, they could not blame the Ghost King for their deaths. The three great clans are too despicable. In order to deal with us, Huxley, they actually released the Ghost King. How despicable! Lei Ling scolded the three big clans, Fu Ming and the rest. Although Zhuan did not tell them the truth at Ghost King Ridge. However, they were not stupid. Naturally, they thought that the Ghost King breaking the seal must have something to do with Fu Ming and the other two. Bang! Seeing that the Ghost King had come out, Yuri didn't want to waste any more time with Lu Renjue. After taking a palm strike from Lu Renjue, he calmly retreated to the side of Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu. Seeing that Yuri had retreated, the elite experts of the Jinshui clan also knew when to stop and left the battle. Huxley's 3 enforcers and 9 kings didn't chase after them. After all, they were outnumbered. Wouldn't it be suicide if they chased after them? The Ghost King's huge body stood on the ruins of Ghost King Ridge. His scarlet eyes scanned the surroundings and then landed on Lu Yunba, who was in the air. It seems that you are the strongest person in Huxley now. You have passed the great tribulation of heaven and earth and formed your own unique Qian Kuan world. The Ghost King's eyes darted around as he spoke calmly. Lu Yunba was silent. He stared at the Ghost King. The Qian Kuan world in the void behind him accumulated countless terrifying tribulations, ready to launch a thunderous attack on the Ghost King at any time. It was no wonder that Lu Yunba was so cautious. The Ghost King's reputation was too great. Back when Lu Yunba was just an insignificant cultivator, the Ghost King had already been suppressed in Ghost King Ridge. The Ghost King's history was too long. He was simply an immortal old monster. Even though Lu Yunba knew that the Ghost King's strength was the same as his, also in the great tribulation of heaven and earth. However, he still had a deep fear of the Ghost King. Ghost King, what do you want? Lu Yunba took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice. The Ghost King smiled, his eyes emitting a strange cold light. My request is very simple. Kill all of Huxley's people. The faces of all of Huxley's people present turned ugly. The Ghost King's appetite was really big. He actually wanted to destroy Huxley. Senior Ghost King, our 3 great clans will do our best to help you destroy Huxley. Yuri was smug as he hurriedly echoed the Ghost King's words. Lu Yunba's face turned very ugly. The Ghost King and the elite experts of the 3 great clans. Huxley was really doomed this time. The Ghost King glanced coldly at Yuri and the others and said indifferently, "It's natural for you to help me. After all, it's written clearly in the soul contract." Yuri was furious. The Ghost King's attitude made him very unhappy, but he didn't dare to say anything. Senior Ghost King, our disciples should have come into contact with you in the Ghost King Ridge. I wonder if you know the whereabouts of the 3 of them? Suddenly, Leng Yanyu cupped his hands and asked the Ghost King. Yu Wenlai and Xiao Zihui also immediately pricked up their ears, although their 3 clans' plan had succeeded. Although their plan had succeeded, there was still no news of Fu Ming and the other 2. They looked calm on the surface, but they were actually very anxious. After all, Fu Ming, Jian Wuqing, and Leng Feifei were the top geniuses of their 3 great clans and their personal disciples. In order to nurture Fu Ming and the other 2, Yuri and the other 2 had spent a lot of effort. In the future, they would even pass on their mantle to them and let them take charge of such a large domain. The Ghost King said casually, "How would I know their whereabouts? Maybe they have already died in the Ghost King Ridge." "What? You killed my disciples?" Xiao Zihui said in shock and anger. Human, watch your words. Did I say that I killed them? The Ghost King said in an unfriendly tone. Senior Ghost King, please forgive me. My companion is not very good with words. He was also confused because he was concerned. We know the strength of our disciples the best. In the Ghost King Ridge, there shouldn't be anyone who can kill the three of them, right? Yuri hurriedly tried to smooth things over, but he also vaguely expressed that he didn't really believe the Ghost King's words. It was impossible for the Huxley geniuses who had entered the Ghost King Ridge to be a match for Fu Ming and the other two. In their opinion, if Fu Ming and the other two were really dead, only the Ghost King could kill them. The Ghost King was so shrewd that he naturally understood the meaning behind Yuri's words. You all underestimate Huxley. There really is a top genius among Huxley's juniors. He killed your disciples like slaughtering dogs. This boy even destroyed one of my incarnations. The Ghost King sneered. Yuri and the other two were finally shocked. They didn't expect that there was such a hidden figure among Huxley's younger generation. The Ghost King was a supreme master of the great carefree realm. His incarnation was at least at the ancient star transformation realm. And this Huxley's junior that the Ghost King mentioned was actually able to destroy the Ghost King's incarnation. It was really incredible. Senior Ghost King, you mean that our disciples were killed by this person? Who is he? Yuri said in a low voice. I remember that his name is Jun, the Ghost King said lightly. Juon? Yuri and the others were dumbfounded. They had a better understanding of Huxley's geniuses. They were familiar with Lei Ling, Bing Yu, and the other disciples of the Nine Kings. But who the hell was this Jun? This was the first time they had heard of him. As for whether he killed your disciples or not, you should ask him. The Ghost King revealed a sinister smile, and then his right hand suddenly pointed at a ruin in the north of the Ghost King Ridge. A burst of black chi shot out explosively, sweeping towards the inconspicuous corner of the ruins. Chapter 4077. When everyone's eyes fell on the figure, they realized that it was a black-clothed young man. It's Jun. Lu Renjue smiled happily. He had always thought highly of Jun and saw him as a genius who could revive Huxley. Naturally, he didn't want a genius like Jun to die. Great, senior brother Zhua is still alive. Sa Mei was overjoyed. Lei Ling, Tua Sheng, and the other young geniuses of Ghost King Ridge also smiled. Their lives were saved by Jun. If Jun died in Ghost King Ridge because of them, they would feel guilty. You are the most cunning human I have ever seen. After leaving Ghost King Ridge, you didn't show yourself. Instead, you hid secretly. I have to say that you are very smart. Unfortunately, I still found you. The Ghost King looked at Zhuowen proudly and said in a sinister voice. Zhuowen's face was very ugly. Just as the Ghost King said, he came out not long after Sa Mei and Tua Sheng. However, as soon as he appeared, he activated the concealment disc array, perfectly hiding his figure and aura. He had been observing from outside. Especially after the Ghost King appeared, he didn't dare to show himself. His plan was very simple. When the Ghost King and Lu Yuanba were busy fighting, he would quickly leave this place and go to the Medicine God Pavilion to get the limitless longevity elixir. Then he would immediately leave Hushu City. He never intended to get involved in the muddy waters between Huxley, the Ghost King, and the three big clans. Are you Zhuowen? Where is my disciple now? Yuri looked coldly at Zhuowen and asked. Who are you? Why are you looking for me when your disciple is missing? Jun was in a bad mood. He didn't want to talk to Yuri at all. You are looking for death. Yuri was furious. Without saying anything, he attacked Zhuowen with his palm. However, Yuri's attack was blocked by Lu Renjue. Yuri, how shameless are you? You're the head of the Jinshui clan, yet you dare to attack a junior? Lu Renjue said coldly. Yuri glared at Jun and said, In any case, your Huxley is going to be finished soon. I won't bicker with a piece of trash like you. After I kill Lu Renjue, I'll deal with you properly. Do it. Kill everyone in Huxley. Yuri shouted and summoned his natal star, charging towards Lu Renjue. Meanwhile, the elites of the Jinshui clan led by Yuri began a frenzied slaughter. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu led Purple Mirage and God's Eyes Ancient Star transformation experts to join the battle. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu joined forces with Yuri and launched a fierce attack on Lu Renjue. In an instant, Lu Renjue was at a disadvantage. He was in an extremely passive position. The 3 enforcers of Huxley and the 9 kings of Huxley were also in a difficult battle. After all, they had far fewer Ancient Star transformation experts than the other 3 clans. Even though Huxley had more people, those below the Ancient Star transformation level were nothing more than cannon fodder. Fortunately, Lu Renjue had already activated the various formations within Huxley City. With the support of these formations, Lu Renjue and the others could still hold on. Yun, Lei Ling, take Bingyu, Tuo Sheng, and the other juniors and leave Huxley City. You are the hope of Huxley City. You cannot die. Lu Renjue's voice appeared in Zhuowen and Lei Ling's minds, telling them to leave Huxley City as soon as possible. Other than Zhuowen, Lei Ling and the other juniors were filled with sorrow. They were not stupid and knew that Lu Renjue's method was the best way. They knelt on the ground and bowed to their respective masters from afar. Then, they fled towards the exit of Huxley City. Junior Zhua, there is a space-time corridor in the depths of the Absolute God Pavilion. The clan leader prepared it for us. Hurry up and leave with us. Lei Ling saw that Zhuowen had no intention of leaving and hurriedly transmitted a message to Zhuowen. Lei Ling, give me the method to activate the space-time corridor. I still have some matters to attend to. I will meet up with you later. Zhuowen's eyes flashed as he replied to Lei Ling. Lei Ling was stunned. Now that the situation was urgent, he did not think too much. He passed a jade slip to Zhuowen and quickly left with Bingyu and the others. However, Sa Mei and Tuo Sheng stayed behind. Junior Zhua, my life was saved by you. In this moment of life and death, I will go wherever you go, Tuo Sheng said seriously. Although Sa Mei did not say anything, her eyes shone with a determined light, showing her determination to stay. Zhuowen felt a headache coming on. He knew that the 2 of them had misunderstood his intentions. He did not stay because of Huxley. The main reason was that he had not obtained the limitless longevity elixir yet. However, looking at the shocking battle in the distance, Huxley had sent more and more cultivators to participate in the battle. At such a dangerous time, he could not leave Sa Mei and Tuo Sheng behind. Both of you, please excuse me. Zhuowen suddenly attacked and knocked out the 2 of them. After sending them into the great world, he took a deep look at Lu Renjue and the others who were fighting bitterly. He did not go to help. Instead, he rushed out and headed towards the Medicine Divine Pavilion. Kakik, and don't think that you can leave so easily. The Ghost King let out a sinister laugh, and its huge palm suddenly grabbed at Zhuowen. He had been paying attention to Zhuowen all this time. Seeing that Zhuowen was about to leave, he naturally would not let him go so easily. Ghost King, don't you dare touch my people. The moment the Ghost King attacked Zhuowen, Liu Yuanba also attacked. He stomped his right foot and a terrifying tribulation power turned into a sword, piercing through the Ghost King's right hand. Liu Yuanba descended from the sky, bringing with him the shadow of a huge Qian Kuan world. He was like a god or a demon, unstoppable. The Ghost King was furious. He knew that with Liu Yuanba blocking his way, there was nothing he could do to Zhuowen. After all, Liu Yuanba could be said to be an elite of the Qian Kun Great Tribulation. Although he was not necessarily stronger than the Ghost King, he was still an extremely difficult opponent. The Ghost King did not dare to be distracted. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 supreme experts of the Great Carefree Realm finally began their first official battle. The experts of the Great Carefree Realm were too terrifying. The aftermath of their battle continued to spread. The space of the 100th level of Hushu City began to collapse gradually, forming black hole-like nothingness. As the battle between the 2 became more and more terrifying, the entire Hushu City began to be affected. The space of each level of Hushu City was independent, but now they were all affected and began to collapse gradually. Chapter 4078. This space, unable to withstand the battle between the 2 experts of the Great Carefree Realm, began to shatter into pieces. Zhuan was shocked. The experts of the great carefree realm were so powerful. Just the aftermath of the collision was like the power of the heavens, which made people tremble with fear. The four of you split into two groups and chase after Zhuan and Lei Ling. Be sure to kill them all. Yuri naturally noticed the fleeing Lei Ling, Zhuan and the others. He immediately ordered the four experts of the ancient star transformation realm. The four experts nodded silently and then quickly withdrew from the battle. Two of them chased after Zhuan, and the other two chased after Lei Ling. Lu Renjue and the others naturally noticed the four experts sent by Yuri. Their faces changed greatly, knowing that these four people should be chasing after Zhuan and Lei Ling. Unfortunately, they were powerless. Under the siege of the elite experts of the three clans, they could barely protect themselves. It was impossible for them to free themselves to stop the four experts. Zhuan, Lei Ling, you must escape. Lu Renjue prayed in his heart as he fought the three clan leaders with all his strength. He was very clearly aware that after this battle, it was very likely that the Heshu clan would be wiped out from the 100 territories, whereas Zhuowen, Lei Ling, and the other juniors had become the hope of the Heshu clan to make a comeback in the future. While the battle in the Ghost King Ridge was in full swing, a streamer quickly arrived at the Medicine Divine Pavilion. At this moment, the mountains surrounding the Medicine Divine Pavilion were still shattered into countless pieces of gravel. However, because the Medicine Divine Pavilion was protected by a large formation, it was not damaged much and still stood in the middle of the gravel. The Medicine Divine Pavilion had long been deserted. The guards and pharmacists here had already received the news and fled for their lives. Zhuan silently looked at the Medicine Divine Pavilion, and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. Huxley had reached the end of his road. The Medicine God's Pavilion was Huxley's most precious treasure. There were many precious elixirs stored inside. They were the result of Huxley's countless years of accumulation. Taking advantage of the chaos, Zhuan knew that he had a chance to take over the entire Medicine Divine Pavilion. Zhuan had always been a decisive person. Once he made a decision, he would not hesitate. Thus, his hands reached out into the void, and his 10 fingers moved together, forming a series of complicated hand seals. Not long after, the huge Medicine Divine Pavilion shrunk to the size of a palm under the influence of the runes and fell into Zhuowen's palm. As if sensing something, Zhuan abruptly raised his head and looked behind him. In the sky behind him, 2 streaks of flowing light were rapidly flying towards him. Their momentum was menacing and murderous. With a flip of his right hand, Zhuan stored the Medicine Divine Pavilion into his parallel world. He looked coldly at the 2 figures who had landed in front of him. One of them was a white-haired old man, and the other was a skinny middle-aged man. Zhuan had some impression of these 2. They seemed to be ancient star transformation realm cultivators from the 3 great clans. From their auras, he could tell that they were both at the early stage of the ancient star transformation realm. He's just a half-step ancient star transformation realm ant. The clan leader has sent the 2 of us to chase after this piece of trash. He really thinks too highly of him. When the skinny middle-aged man saw that Zhuan was alone, he could not help but frown. The white-haired old man looked around, then looked at Zhuan and asked in a low voice, "This should be where the Medicine Divine Pavilion is, right? Did you take the Medicine Divine Pavilion? You must be talking about this, right?" Zhuowen's lips curled into a sinister smile. He opened his right hand, and the palm-sized Medicine Divine Pavilion appeared in his palm. The skinny middle-aged man and the white-haired old man immediately revealed greedy expressions. They knew how valuable the Medicine Divine Pavilion was. It was an important place that stored all the divine medicines of the entire clan. There were so many divine medicines that it could provide for the entire clan. "Brat, hand the Medicine Divine Pavilion to us, and we can be merciful and let you take your own life," the skinny middle-aged man said sinisterly. "Hand over the Medicine Divine Pavilion? Take my own life?" Zhuan had a strange look in his eyes. He then shook his head with a cold smile and said, "You think you're worthy?" The skinny middle-aged man was furious. This brat was too arrogant. He was just a half-step ancient star transformation realm cultivator, and yet he dared to be so arrogant. Brat, I wanted you to take your own life so that you can die a quick death. Unfortunately, you don't know what's good for you. Since that's the case, I'll slowly play you to death and make you wish you were dead." As he spoke, the skinny middle-aged man attacked. He only casually threw out a palm strike. A huge amount of energy condensed in the air, forming a huge palm of energy. He didn't even release his natal star because the young man in front of him was too weak. He didn't even need to use his full strength. The white-haired old man crossed his arms and looked at the scene coldly. A mocking smile appeared on his face. He also didn't think much of Juan. Therefore, after the skinny middle-aged man attacked, he stood aside and watched the show. "You're the one who's courting death." Juan shook his head and waved his sleeve. Before the skinny middle-aged man's palm of energy could land, it collapsed. At the same time, Juan's right hand formed two fingers into a sword and pointed at the air. A purplish-gold energy rushed out from the tip of his finger and turned into a purplish-gold beam of light that shot toward the skinny middle-aged man's forehead. The skinny middle-aged man was shocked. He didn't expect that his attack would be so easily neutralized by Juan. Was this something that an ordinary half-step ancient star transformation realm cultivator could do? Not good. The skinny middle-aged man's face completely changed when he felt the terrifying aura of the purplish-gold energy. He didn't even think about it and took out his natal star to block in front of him. Bang! The purplish-gold energy landed on the natal star and then, under the skinny middle-aged man's shocked gaze, the energy pierced through his natal star and into his forehead. How is this possible? My life's solitary star actually couldn't block one move from you? The skinny middle-aged man let out an unwilling roar. The natal star in front of him dissipated and he collapsed to the ground. His soul was destroyed and his aura was cut off. Juan's expression was calm. The skinny middle-aged man in front of him was even weaker than Luke. Back then, he was able to defeat Luke when he was only in the middle stage of the Fiend God transformation realm. Now that he was a half-step ancient star transformation realm cultivator, his strength was comparable to a peak ancient star transformation realm cultivator. It was not difficult for him to kill the skinny middle-aged man who was weaker than Luke in one move. But when the white-haired old man saw this scene, he was so scared that he wet his pants and scrambled to escape into the distance. Juan looked coldly at the back of the white-haired old man. He raised his hand again and pointed at the air. A purplish-gold energy shot out again and pierced through the back of the old man's head in the blink of an eye. The white-haired old man didn't even have time to scream before he fell to the ground and stopped breathing. After dealing with these two people, Juan was neither sad nor happy. He used his movement technique and rushed toward the Supreme Temple. Hushu City was too dangerous. He had to leave this place as soon as possible. Especially when he felt the space around him crumbling faster and faster, his determination to leave grew stronger. Chapter 4079. Outside of Supreme Divine Hall, Lei Ling, Bing Yu and a few others were in a tough battle. They were covered in injuries and looked miserable. Their opponents were two black-robed elders. The two black-robed elders flashed around Lei Ling and the others like a gust of wind, appearing and disappearing unpredictably like ghosts. Every time they flashed, they would be able to unleash an extremely terrifying attack, causing Lei Ling, Bing Yu and the rest to be exhausted. The injuries on their bodies also increased. Lei Ling and Bing Yu were the strongest among them, so they were the main targets of the two elders. Therefore, their injuries were the most severe. Juan recognized at a glance that the two black-robed elders were the same as the two who were chasing after him. They were ancient star transformation experts from the three big clans. Moreover, he could tell that the two elders were obviously toying with Lei Ling and the others. After all, the two ancient star transformation experts had joined forces. Even if Lei Ling, Bing Yu and the others joined forces, they would not be a match for them. Junior Joie. Lei Ling and the others noticed Juan, who had suddenly appeared, and could not help but shout in surprise. They were really happy from the bottom of their hearts. Juan's powerful performance in Ghost King Ridge was still deeply imprinted in their minds. In their eyes, although Juan's cultivation was not very high, his strength was definitely above ancient star transformation. What's going on? Isn't this guy the target of Long Yao and Zhu Wen? When the two black-robed elders saw Zhu Wen, they could not help but be surprised. Long Yao and Zhu Wen, who the two black-robed elders were talking about, were the two who were chasing after Zhu Wen. Obviously, in the two elders' hearts, Yun should be a dead man at that moment. However, he had appeared in front of them at that moment. Just as the two black-robed elders were confused and deep in thought, Yun had already moved. He was like an indomitable god. Surging violet gold energy surged from his body, and then he shot out at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, Yun appeared before the two black-robed old men. After that, he raised his right hand and formed two fingers into the shape of a sword before suddenly pointing it towards one of the black-robed old men. Junior brother Zhua, you have to be careful. The two of them are experts in the combo attack technique, and their coordination is very good. Lei Ling hurriedly reminded. Your reminder came a little too late. This brat really didn't know what was good for him. He actually rushed up to court death like this. Then we will fulfill your wish. The two black-robed old men laughed strangely. Then, the two of them suddenly separated. One of the black-robed old men charged toward Zhu Wen, his right hand clenched into a fist to meet Zhu Wen's attack. At the same time, another black-robed old man turned into a shadow and unknowingly appeared behind Zhu. His right hand formed a claw and grabbed at Zhu Wen's Tianling acupoint. At this moment, Zhu Wen was being pincered by the two black-robed elders. There was no way he could escape. Junior brother Zhua is too reckless. He shouldn't have gone up alone. He should have joined forces with us to fight against the enemy. Bing Yu's face changed drastically. Although he acknowledged that Zhu Wen had the strength of an ancient star transformation, that didn't mean that Zhu Wen had the strength to fight against two ancient star transformations. You really are a fool who doesn't know what's good for you. You dare to attack us brothers without even considering your own strength. The black-robed old man who was facing Zhu Wen laughed wantonly. His right fist was like a bolt of lightning as it violently collided with Zhu Wen's sword fingers. In his opinion, this fist was enough to smash Zhu Wen's right hand into pieces. Suddenly, a shrill cry rang out. Zhu Wen's fingertips shot out a purplish gold energy. The moment it came into contact with the black-robed old man's fist, it was like a grinder that crushed the black-robed old man's right fist into minced meat. The black-robed old man's face was filled with shock and disbelief. He held onto his broken right arm and wanted to retreat. But what he saw was a pair of cold eyes filled with killing intent. Zhu Wen fully utilized the take advantage of your weakness tactic. He once again raised his finger and pointed at the black-robed old man's forehead. The purplish gold energy shot out from his fingertips was too fast. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the black-robed old man's forehead. The black-robed old man stared at Yun in disbelief. He had never imagined that he would be defeated, and so cleanly at that. He could feel his soul slowly dissipating in the depths of his mind. He knew that his soul had completely collapsed. He was finished. How can you be so strong? The black-robed old man stared at Yun. As he spoke, his corpse fell from the sky. In the instant that Zhu Wen dealt with the black-robed old man, the other black-robed old man's attack had already landed on Zhu Wen's back. In just a breath's time, his claws would have pierced through Zhu Wen's back. His heart would have been crushed. On the other hand, Zhu Wen remained motionless, but the corner of his mouth revealed a mocking smile. After that, the black-robed old man's claw completely stopped at Zhu Wen's back. This was because terrifying formation markings were like shackles that firmly restrained his claw, making it impossible for him to move at all. Restriction? When did you set it up? The black-robed old man was shocked and could not help but exclaim. This was because he could feel that this restriction was extremely powerful. It was at least a heaven-breaking level 9 restriction. When I attacked, I used my left hand to set it up temporarily. Zhu Wen slowly turned around, raised his right hand slowly, and pointed at the old man's forehead. After the black-robed old man's right hand was restrained, it completely triggered the restriction on the surface of Zhu Wen's body, completely imprisoning his entire body in midair. It was difficult for him to even move a finger. You're a heaven-breaking level 9 divine array master? The The black-robed old man was finally terrified. This lad was able to set up such a terrifying restriction in such a short time. He was at least a heaven-breaking level 9 divine array master. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to set up a restriction that could imprison him in such a short time. You have too many questions. Go in peace. Jun shook his head. His finger landed on the old man's forehead and destroyed his spiritual soul. Jun casually waved his sleeve and threw the old man's corpse on the ground. Then he walked to Lei Ling and the others. Lei Ling, Bing Yu, and the others were already stunned. Although they knew that Jun was powerful, they did not expect him to be this powerful. Especially Lei Ling. He looked at Juon seriously. The strength that Jun had displayed was on par with his master, the Divine Thunder Emperor. Moreover, he felt that Jun might still be hiding a part of his strength. If he were to show his full strength, how powerful would he be? Jin, who are you? Chapter 4080. If Jun wanted to join Huxley, with his strength, Lu Renjue would definitely put him in an important position and even promote him to the same position as the three great protectors. However, Jun did not do so. Instead, he hid his strength and entered Huxley as King Valurium's disciple. This matter seemed very strange. Bing Yu and the others were not fools. When Lei Ling mentioned this, they all reacted and looked at Juon cautiously. Juon's eyes were calm. The moment he revealed his strength, he knew that his identity would be suspected. Does it matter what my identity is now? All you need to know is that I am not your enemy. As for other things, you don't need to ask. Juon said firmly. Lei Ling and the others looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Juon was right. His identity was no longer important. Huxley was in danger and could be annihilated at any time. Their priority now was to escape from Huxley and gather strength to recover Huxley in the future. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the tremors in Huxley's sacred city became more violent and the surrounding space was torn apart even more horribly. Everyone looked up and saw two huge figures rushing out of Huxley's sacred city's space and protective restriction, rushing into the depths of the dark void. They could faintly see the two huge figures carrying huge illusory worlds colliding and exchanging blows in the dark void. The energy ripples created were constantly shattering all matter in the dark void. The two huge figures were the protector of Huxley's sacred city, Lu Yuanba, and the Ghost King who had broken out of the seal. Apparently, the two of them realized that Huxley's sacred city was too narrow and fragile and could not fully unleash its power. Therefore, they both escaped into the dark void and engaged in a truly earth-shattering battle. The experts of the great carefree realm are so terrifying. They can roam freely in the darkness of the chaotic void and are not afraid of the horrors of the dark void. Lei Ling stared at the battle in the depths of the void and sighed with envy. Zhuowen was also silently watching the battle. A flame of determination was ignited in his heart. This was the great carefree realm, jumping out of the domain and not within the 5 elements. Roaming free and unfettered, he had to reach this realm. Go! Now is not the time to be daydreaming. Bing Yu was the calmest among them. He reminded everyone. Everyone came to their senses and entered the Supreme Temple. On the other hand, Zhuowen quietly followed behind them. Lei Ling and the rest did not say anything. Although they knew that Zhuowen had an ulterior motive for joining Huxley, they also knew that they were now in the same boat as Zhuowen. In the deepest part of Supreme Divine Hall, there was a secret stone chamber. In the stone chamber, there was an entrance to a space-time corridor. The space-time corridor was a passageway that led to the turbulence of space-time. Its starting point was fixed, but its ending point was random. In other words, once they entered the space-time corridor, no one would be able to predict where they would arrive. There was no pattern at all. However, as the space-time corridor covered a vast distance, usually ranging from one domain to several domains, the distance covered was much further than a teleportation portal. Lu Renjue knew very well that it was useless for Lei Ling and the rest to escape from Heshu's sacred city. This was because Heshu domain was surrounded by the 3 big clans. Once Huxley was annihilated, the 3 big clans would order a search for them. It would be easy to find them and they wouldn't have the chance to leave Heshu domain. The space-time corridor could help them leave Hshu domain completely. As for where they would end up, it would depend on luck. Everyone, once we enter the space-time corridor, we might be separated. Once we leave the space-time corridor, you must contact me immediately. Outside the space-time door, Lei Ling stopped and said to everyone behind him. Everyone nodded with a grave expression. The space-time door can only allow one person to enter at a time. Let's go one by one. I'll go first. Lei Ling's gaze was solemn. No one objected to Lei Ling going first. Generally speaking, the space-time corridor was very dangerous. Lei Ling wanted to be the first to enter, obviously with an attitude of trying to open up a path for the rest. However, the moment Lei Ling raised his foot and stepped into the dimensional door, he stopped like a statue. Only his pair of eyeballs were rolling around. "Senior Lei, what's wrong with you?" Bing Yu revealed a look of surprise as he patted Lei Ling's shoulder. A terrifying scene happened. The moment Bing Yu touched Lei Ling, the latter shattered and turned into dust. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded and looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Lei Ling was clearly fine just a moment ago. How did he shatter into dust like glass? Moreover, they could acutely feel that Lei Ling's aura had completely disappeared. This meant that Lei Ling had died without knowing why. "Retreat quickly." Zhuowen's reaction was the fastest. The moment Lei Ling stopped moving, he sensed something. He shouted and quickly fled to the back. No one noticed that after the thunder spirit shattered, an invisible force spread rapidly into the stone room like mist. In the blink of an eye, Bing Yu and the rest were as though time had stopped and they were motionless. Zhuowen's reaction was the fastest. Before the invisible force caught up with him, he had already left the stone room. His divine instinct was extremely sharp. After he left the stone room, he didn't stop but ran out of Supreme God Hall at an even faster speed. The invisible force seemed to have sensed Zhuowen and chased after him. Its speed was even faster than Zhuowen's. Damn it! Zhuowen's face was ghastly. His divine instinct had already sensed that the strange force had already caught up with him. Once the force caught up with him, he would end up like Lei Ling and the rest. Zhuowen took out the Tai Emperor's seal without hesitation and smashed it on his heel. Bang! There was the sound of heavy objects colliding. After the Tai Emperor's seal landed, Zhuowen instantly felt that the strange force's speed had slowed down. It was as though it had been hit by the Tai Emperor's seal. Zhuowen made a prompt decision and rushed out of Supreme God Hall. He then kept the Tai Emperor's seal in his great world. The force chased to the entrance of Supreme God Hall. As though there was a restriction, it didn't dare to chase out of Supreme God Hall. Instead, it slowly retreated into the depths of Supreme God Hall. In the depths of Supreme God Hall, Bing Yu and the rest were no longer there. What replaced them was a ground full of debris. Obviously, they had followed in Lei Ling's footsteps. This kid actually managed to escape from my shadowless shattered domain? He can sense my shadowless broken realm? Chapter 4081. Psycho Hongfei. Don't bother with that ant. The three of us have been hiding in the space-time turbulence, waiting for Huxley's people to activate the space-time gate, allowing us to successfully locate the location of the space-time gate inside Huxley. Now that we've successfully entered the space where Huxley's divine city is located, there's no doubt that Huxley's clan has been wiped out. There's no need to bother with that ant. Once we kill Lu Yuanba, Huxley will naturally be at our mercy. Another voice came from within the space-time gate, and then a youth with a star mark between his eyebrows slowly stepped out and walked to the side of the gray-haired boy. Silently following behind the youth was a muscular man with a bare upper body. The surface of the man's muscular body was filled with dense flame marks, and on his abdomen was a large sun that emitted blazing light. This muscular man had a head of red hair, and as soon as he stepped out, the surrounding temperature immediately soared. The entire stone room seemed to have become the inside of a furnace, and even the stone walls on the surface of the stone room began to melt into red lava, unable to withstand the high temperature. The gray-haired boy looked coldly at the star-marked youth and said indifferently, "Ling Xinghai, who am I, and who is that ant? There's no need for me to personally deal with him." I'm just surprised that a mere ant could sense my shadowless shattering domain. That's all. These three people were the realm guardians of the Goldwater Realm, Divine Eye Realm, and Purple Illusion Realm, Saika Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi, and Ling Xinghai. They were all great carefree realm experts. The space where the divine city of Hushu was located had always been extremely mysterious. Moreover, it had a natural barrier of rules. Without the permission of the divine city of Hushu, experts of the great carefree realms simply couldn't find the specific location of the divine city of Hushu. Even the three clan leaders had been brought in by Lu Renjue, and they had no idea how to enter Huxley's divine city. Thus, the three of them discussed and decided to first lay low in the space-time turbulence near Huxley's divine city. When the three clan leaders completely released the Ghost Kings and launched an all-out attack on Huxley's divine city, the city would definitely fall into chaos. It was very likely that the Lu people would send their most talented juniors to open the portal in Hushu City and enter the space-time corridor in the turbulence of space-time. Once the portal opened, the three of them who were hiding in the turbulence of space-time immediately identified the exact location of the portal in Hushu City. Therefore, they passed through the portal and entered the stone chamber of the Temple of Ultimate. What happened next was exactly what happened just now. The gray-haired boy unleashed his shadowless, shattering territory. First, it ended Lei Ling's life. Then it was Bing Yu and the others. However, Zhuowen's reaction was too fast, and his divine instincts were too sharp. He immediately retreated, and in the end, successfully escaped from this murderous situation. I thought it was one of our people who opened the portal. Who would have thought that he was actually Huxley's junior? Were Yuri and the others incompetent? These juniors couldn't be dealt with in advance? The muscular red-haired man looked around and snorted coldly. Maybe something unexpected happened. However, in the end we successfully entered Hushu City. The result is the same. Ling Xinghai smiled faintly. I can sense that the Ghost King is fighting Lu Yuanba in the outer void. This Lu Yuanba really hid his strength well. He has improved so much. His Qinkuan world has already reached the extreme, and there are already gods sitting inside. There are signs of him transforming into Dharma. The gray-haired boy, Saika Hongfei, frowned slightly as he spoke in a low voice. Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi's expressions became extremely serious. They knew very well that although Lu Yuanba was also facing the Qinkuan tribulation like them, he had already reached the peak of the Qinkuan tribulation. At any time, he could break through to the second stage of the great unfettered, the universe. The possibility of Dharma. If Lu Yuanba was given another few thousand years, he could very well break through to the universe Dharma. At that time, the three great clans would no longer have the chance to fight against Huxley. Lu Yuanba must die. The three people's gazes emitted a cold, murderous intent, and they quickly reached an agreement to kill Lu Yuanba first. The two of you, I don't think you need me to tell you how great a threat Lu Yuanba is. Today, the three of us must work together and not hold back. If we let Lu Yuanba escape, he will be a great hidden danger. Ling Xinghai suddenly said solemnly. Saika Hongfei and Zhu Yangqi both nodded repeatedly. They naturally understood the threat Lu Yuanba posed. Today, the three great clans had sent out all their elites, and even the three guardians of the realm had attacked. Their main goal was not to destroy Huxley, but to kill Lu Yuanba. As long as Lu Yuanba died, Huxley would be at their mercy and could be destroyed at any time. Go! After receiving Saika Hongfei and Zhu Yangqi's affirmation, Ling Xinghai's expression brightened. He pushed off the ground with his right foot and rushed into the void like an angry dragon. The moment he rushed out, the star mark between Ling Xinghai's eyebrows scattered endless starlight, which surrounded his body and turned into starlight armor. Moreover, the starlight was endless and condensed behind him, turning into 6 huge starlight wings. Saika Hongfei and Zhu Yangqi followed closely behind. Their momentum was no weaker than Ling Xinghai's. Saika Hongfei expanded his shadowless, shattering domain to its limit. Everywhere he passed, space collapsed as if there was an endless explosion. A Daokong-shaped crack formed behind him, like a terrifying tail behind him. Zhu Yangqi's move was simple and crude. The countless flame marks on the surface of his body lit up and left his body, turning into huge fireballs. These fireballs were much larger than the sun. They were densely packed and formed a boundless sea of fire around him. At the same time, the shadows of 3 huge Qian worlds condensed in the void behind the 3 of them. Moreover, the shadows continued to solidify, and countless disasters came one after another, densely packed. The momentum of the 3 was really too great. They rushed into the sky, and the huge Supreme Divine Hall was shattered into fine powder. The people of the 3 great clans and Huxley who were fighting were all alarmed. They raised their heads and looked at the 3 terrifying flowing lights that rushed into the depths of the void, revealing a look of shock. That's 3 great carefree realm experts. Lu Renjue was in an extremely sorry state at the moment. His body was covered with cuts and bruises, and he looked at the 3 flowing lights with a look of horror. Ha! Our domain protectors have finally arrived. Lu Renjue, your Huxley is finished, and your domain protectors are also doomed. Yuri was wild with joy, laughing without restraint. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu also revealed excited smiles. With the 3 domain protectors taking action, Huxley no longer had any chance to turn the tables. No, how is this possible? The whereabouts of the divine city of Hushu have always been secretive. You 3 great clans don't know its location at all. Why would your domain protectors come in? Lu Renjue's eyes turned red as he roared wildly. Chapter 4082. Lu Renjue was stunned. Tears suddenly flowed out of his eyes as he let out a sorrowful howl. He was like a lonely and helpless old wolf. Lei Ling Thon, Bingyu. I caused your deaths. My people, I caused your deaths. Lu Renjue was grief-stricken. He realized that it was all because of his decision that he had exposed the location of Hushu City. I don't regret dying. However, my people are innocent. Today I, Lu Renjue, am willing to sacrifice my blood to Hushu. Lu Renjue stared at Yuri and the other 2. Blood chi surged out from the depths of his body, and his aura instantly skyrocketed. Old man, you're crazy. You're burning your blood essence. Yuri's pupils constricted as he said in disbelief. Lu Renjue didn't reply. His blood essence continued to burn, and his aura continued to rise. He had already flown out without any regard for his life and charged towards Yuri and the other 2. At this moment, Lu Renjue no longer had any regrets. The only thing in his mind was to kill Yuri and the other 2 to atone for his sins. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, Lu Renjue clashed with Yuri and the other 2 again. Unlike before, Lu Renjue, who had been suppressed by Yuri and the other 2, finally gained the upper hand this time. He continued to fight, and his injuries continued to increase. However, his aura grew stronger and stronger. I sacrifice my blood to Hushu. The 3 protectors and the 9 kings of Hushu went completely crazy. They shouted loudly and burned their blood essence. I sacrifice my blood to Hushu. Countless Hushu people who had joined the battle from Hushu City also went crazy. They shouted the same words and burned their blood essence. The entire Hushu City went crazy. In their despair, they released a final ray of light. They swore to destroy the earth and protect the land of their clan. A miracle happened. The 3 great clans who had originally had the upper hand were now at a disadvantage. They were even completely suppressed. The ancient star transformation realm experts of the 3 great clans finally began to suffer casualties. On a lonely rock, Toan slowly stood up. He raised his head and gazed at the horrifying battle in the sky. He gazed at the figures that were flying up from Hushu City and descending from the sky like moths flying into a flame. His expression changed. Pucci! Suddenly, as if Yuri, Xiao Zihui, and Leng Yanyu suffered a heavy blow, they all spat out mouthfuls of blood, and they all flew back and landed on the ground. As for Lu Renjue, the blood chi in his body seemed to have materialized and surrounded him. His aura had already reached its peak. After reaching the peak, it would rapidly decline. Lu Renjue spat out a mouthful of blood. He laughed bitterly and fell down from the sky. Yuri. Calm Yuri's and the other 2 Yuri and Yuri, and... Before Lu Renjue fell to the ground, a figure dashed over like a bolt of black lightning and caught Lu Renjue's body. Cough, cough, cough. Zhuowen? Lu Renjue coughed out a mouthful of blood. He looked at the person who caught him and was pleasantly surprised. Zhuowen looked at the person in front of him with a complicated expression. Lu Renjue's flesh and blood had already withered, and he was only skin and bones. His black hair had also turned white. He also realized that Lu Renjue's aura had been completely cut off. His life force was fading, and he couldn't hold on for much longer. Back then, when he found out about Lu Renjue, he actually had a disgusted attitude. This person wanted to kill Shan Lingyun because she was his illegitimate daughter. In the end, he chased her all the way to Hangwu Shengzhen and took Shan Lingyun away. From the beginning to the end, Nguyen didn't have a good impression of Lu Renjue. Even when Lu Renjue appreciated him in the Absolute Divine Hall, Zhuowen's attitude towards Lu Renjue had never changed. However, when he saw how Lu Renjue regretted exposing the location of the holy city of Huxiu, and how he burned his blood to atone for the sins of his people, the disgust and hatred in his heart disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by sorrow. "Clan leader, there's someone who wants to see you," Zhuowen said softly. Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen in confusion. At this moment, he realized that Zhuowen was a stranger. In other words, he didn't know this young man in front of him at all. However, when he saw the figure that walked out from the parallel world, his gaze froze. He lowered his head and didn't dare to look at her. "Father!" The person who appeared in front of Lu Renjue was Shan Lingyun, who had taught Zhuowen the art of spiritual language. After Zhuowen had obtained the limitless divine medicine, he had already instructed Xiao He in the parallel world to feed the medicine to Shan Lingyun. After swallowing the limitless divine medicine, Shan Lingyun's complexion immediately improved. Her aura also became more vigorous, and her face became rosier. Most importantly, Shan Lingyun, who had been unconscious, had finally regained consciousness. Shan Lingyun also immediately knew what had happened in the holy city of Huxiu. Hence, she strongly requested to meet Lu Renjue. "Am I still worthy of being your father?" Lu Renjue still didn't look at Shan Lingyun. He smiled bitterly. This is why you joined Huxley, right? You came to save Lingyun, right?" Before Shan Lingyun could reply, Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen and asked plainly. "Yes, Lingyun is the teacher who taught me the art of spiritual language. I don't dare to forget my teacher's kindness. As her disciple, I naturally can't ignore her." Zhuowen replied calmly. "Father, I'm sorry. Although I predicted that Huxley would face a calamity, I didn't expect it to be a calamity of life and death," Shan Lingyun said with tears in her eyes. Lu Renjue sighed softly. He patted Shan Lingyun's head and smiled. "Lingyun, I've let you down all these years. I don't blame you for what happened back then, I only blame myself. You're very honest and filial. When we were at the Ghost King Ridge, you and I talked 3 times. The first time, you said that someone would come to save you. The person who would save you was called Zhuowen. You asked me not to make things difficult for him. The second time, you said that Huxley would face a calamity and asked me to take precautions in advance. Today is the 3rd time we have talked. You were right. You are already the strongest spiritual language master in the world. However, Huxley's people saw you as an omen and didn't want to believe you. They even forced me to imprison you. Lingyun, I'm sorry. Although I'm the patriarch, there are many things that I can't control. As a father, I'm not qualified. As a patriarch, I'm also not qualified. I'm really a terrible person." As he said that, Lu Renjue forced himself to kneel in front of Shan Lingyun. He cried like a child. "Lingyun, can you forgive your father? I'm willing to bear all the sins. I only ask for your forgiveness. I don't want to see you with guilt, Mother." Chapter 4083. Shan Lingyun silently helped Lu Renjue up. She hugged him gently and said softly, "Father, I have already forgiven you. In the past, I did hate you. I hated you for chasing me away, for chasing after my master and senior. But as I continued to grow, I gradually understood your difficulties. No matter what you do, there is one thing that cannot be changed. You are my father. You are my father. They are bound by blood by fate. Lu Renjue finally revealed a smile. He had always felt deeply guilty towards Shan Lingyun. Now that he heard Shan Lingyun forgiving him, he felt relieved. Even if he died now, he had no regrets. Lu Renjue, weren't you very impressive just now? In order to deal with us, you did not hesitate to burn your blood essence. Unfortunately, you still can't do anything to us. A cold voice sounded from not far away. The three people led by Yu Wenlai appeared from their respective landing spots and rushed toward Yi Shiwen's side with an aggressive aura. Yuri and the other two people were in a sorry state. Their auras were unstable and they had been severely injured by Lu Renjue's desperate attack. However, they still had the strength to fight. As for Lu Renjue, he was already on the verge of death. Even moving was a luxury. How could he still have the strength to fight? Lu Renjue, your time of death has come. And Huxley is also coming to an end. As long as Lu Yuanba dies, Huxley and Hushu region will not be saved. Leng Yanyu said proudly. Although they were in a sorry state, their hearts were filled with pride. Lu Renjue was not far from death. The 3 protectors of Huxley and the 9 kings of Huxley were also in a tough battle. It was only a matter of time before they were killed. As for the pillars of Huxley region, the Ghost King and the 3 protectors would deal with them. The situation was under the control of the 3 clans. They could finally heave a sigh of relief. As for Shan Lingyun and Zhuowen, who were guarding beside Lu Renjue, the 3 of them did not even put them in their eyes. In their eyes, these 2 were just Huxley's juniors, ants that they could destroy with a wave of their hands. Lu Renjue's eyes were filled with rage. He forcefully propped himself up and protected Shan Lingyun behind him. He said to Zhuowen in a deep voice, "Yun, I will leave Lingyun to you. Hurry up and escape. I'll deal with these 3. As he spoke, Lu Renjue quietly handed a jade slip to Zhuowen and said, "This is the most detailed geographical map of the Hex region. There are a total of 3 shortcuts to leave the Hex region. Let's go before the 3 great clans react. You must escape." Zhuowen put away the jade slip, but he didn't leave. Instead, he gently pressed down on Lu Renjue's shoulder. "Clan leader, let me deal with these 3. You should also have a good rest," Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Lu Renjue looked at Zhuowen in disbelief and hurriedly said in a deep voice, "Yun, do you not know the identity and strength of Yuri and the rest? They are the clan leaders of the 3 great clans. None of them are weaker than me." Lu Renjue was deeply afraid that Zhuowen did not know how strong Yuri was, so he constantly emphasized the specific strength and trump cards of the 3 of them. In any case, the reason he wanted to say was very simple. Yuri and the rest were very strong. They were not people that Zhuowen could deal with. However, Zhuowen's reaction was completely out of Lu Renjue's expectations. Zhuowen only lightly nodded, indicating that he understood the strength of Yuri and the rest. Then he continued, "Clan leader, don't worry. With the strength of the 3 of them, they can't kill me." Zhuowen's words were not said through voice transmission. Instead, he spoke directly to Lu Renjue. Therefore, Yuri and the rest also heard it clearly. Then Yuri and the rest were completely enraged. They felt that their dignity had been completely insulted by these words. Yuri said in a rage, "What an arrogant ant. You're only at the half-step ancient star transformation, and you dare to say that we can't kill you? Where did you get your confidence from?" Lu Renjue's expression changed greatly, and he hurriedly advised, "Yun, don't be rash. Although the 3 of them have been heavily injured by me, they are still very strong. They aren't people that you can deal with." He also felt that Zhuowen was courting death. Zhuowen did not say anything else. Instead, he stomped his foot and directly rushed into the sky. He knew that it was useless to say anything now. In order to let Lu Renjue understand his strength, he had to fight with real swords and spears. "Bastard, you are simply too arrogant." Yuri was so angry that he directly rushed toward Chun. He had cultivated for countless years and had never seen such an arrogant junior. Therefore, he used his full strength the moment he attacked. Yuri's natal star was a star surrounded by rings of golden flames. He rushed in front of Zhuowen and suddenly pressed his right hand down. His natal star, burning with golden flames, fell from the sky and smashed towards Yun. Naturally, Yun also summoned his own god fiend at the first moment, the heaven-piercing purple divine tree. Boom! The purple divine tree was really mysterious. Although it was only at the god fiend level, it was extremely sturdy. It actually completely blocked Yuri's natal star. What? Yuri was shocked and looked at the purple divine tree in front of him in disbelief. With his divine instinct, he naturally sensed that the purple divine tree in front of him was only Zhuowen's god fiend. Logically speaking, even the god fiend released by a half-step ancient star transformation expert was far from being able to resist a true ancient star transformation expert's natal star. Yuri originally thought that when his natal star smashed down, the purple divine tree would sensibly shatter. However, the purple divine tree did not shatter. Instead, it was very sturdy. No matter how his natal star smashed, although it was on the verge of collapse, it still managed to withstand. At the same time, the countless purple fruits on the purple divine tree's countless branches also shattered. God fiends with 3 heads and 6 arms drilled out and charged towards Yuri without any regard for their own safety. Yuri frowned slightly. With a wave of his hand, he destroyed a large number of god fiends with 3 heads and 6 arms. These god fiends were too weak for him. He could destroy a large group of them with a single slap. However, there were too many gods and devils, and they surrounded him in layers. This annoyed him to no end, and also caused him quite a bit of trouble. Zhuan took advantage of this opportunity to circle behind Yuri. At some point, a purple gold divine sword had appeared in his hand. Heaven and earth primordial one ray of heaven. Zhuan raised his right hand and the purple gold divine sword slashed out with a blazing sword aura. A terrifying purple gold sword aura shot out with unstoppable momentum and quickly slashed at Yuri's back. Yuri was already prepared. Although he was shocked by Zhuowen's strength, his reaction was fast enough. He pulled out his right hand and a black gold halberd appeared in his hand. Clang! Chapter 4084. Explode! After Yuri finally blocked this terrifying sword move, an indifferent voice sounded not far away. Then Yuri suddenly found that the space around him was distorted, and a strange array pattern surged out from the depths of the space. There were too many array patterns, like a cage, wrapping Yuri inside. What frightened Yuri even more was that these array patterns were extremely unstable, and the energy emitted from them was constantly rising, as if they were about to explode. Yuri knew that these were self-destructing array patterns, and he needed to leave this place immediately. Unfortunately, it was all too late. The moment Zhuowen said the word, explode, the array patterns exploded one after another, and a blazing white light emerged, illuminating the entire space into a bright white color, as if a huge sun had appeared in the sky. Zhuowen silently watched the explosion in front of him, his eyes calm and indifferent. After advancing to the half-step ancient star transformation, he knew that his strength was not much different from Lu Ren's. Coupled with his half-step eternal level array skills, his strength was definitely not inferior to the 3 patriarchs. What's more, Yuri was severely injured, and his strength was greatly reduced. Therefore, as soon as Zhuowen came, he could make Yuri look so miserable. In the midst of the explosion, there was a rather mournful scream. It was Yuri's scream. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu, who heard the scream, felt a chill in their hearts, and looked at Zhuowen in horror. They originally thought that Zhuowen was just an ant that could be easily dealt with. But now, this ant had suddenly become a mountain, and Yuri was almost crushed to death by this guy. Bang! A wretched figure fell from the sky and crashed heavily onto the ground. Everyone looked over and gasped. They knew that this sorry figure was Yuri. At this moment, Yuri was in a miserable state. His entire body was charred black and emitted a strong smell of burnt meat. His face was beyond recognition, and he was covered in wounds. He did not look like a normal person at all. Although Yuri was heavily injured again, his vitality was extremely tenacious. He struggled to prop himself up and roared, Little bastard, I want you dead, I want you. Ugh. Yuri had just roared a few times when his roars turned into screams. This was because Yun had arrived at his side first. Then he lifted his foot and unceremoniously stepped on Yuri's face, forcefully stomping his face back to the ground. Then, Yun did not hold back. He took out the array disc that he had prepared and activated it, completely imprisoning Yuri. The array disc that Yun had was basically at the half-step eternal level. The imprisonment array in this array disc was naturally more than enough to trap the heavily injured Yuri. As for Lu Renjue and Shan Lingyun, they were so shocked that they could not even speak. Yun was too ferocious. With just a few moves, he had cleanly finished off the Jinshui clan's patriarch, Yuri. This was too shocking. The experts of the three clans who were originally engaged in battle naturally noticed this scene, especially when they saw Yuri being stomped to the ground by Jun. Their movements became sluggish because of this. Huxley's experts took advantage of this slight flaw and immediately killed several ancient star transformation experts. The elite experts of the three clans were also disrupted because of this. As for Huxley's clansmen, their morale was greatly boosted, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Zhuowen's victory was like a timely rain to them, rekindling their hopes. Only the two of you are left. Zhuowen raised his head and looked coldly at Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu, who were already dumbfounded, as he spoke slowly. Kid, don't be too arrogant. I admit that you have some strength, but you are still no match for Yuri. He lost to you because he was already heavily injured and underestimated you. Otherwise, how could you have defeated him? Xiao Zihui said coldly. The situation is clear now. Right now, the situation is very clear. Lu Yuanba won't be able to hold on for too long. If you switch sides and help us destroy the Heshu clan, we will give you a lot of benefits and will even put you in an important position. Leng Yanyu said calmly to Zhuowen. Zhuowen's appearance had disrupted their plans. If they could instigate Zhuowen to switch sides, it would naturally be the best method for them. Lu Renjue immediately became nervous. The three clans were clearly in a much better situation now, and Zhuowen was not a true clansman of Huxley. Zhuowen indeed had no reason to risk his life for Huxley. I only want to fight. Why waste time talking? Zhuowen shook his head and suddenly shot into the sky like a bolt of lightning, charging towards Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu. Today he was not fighting for He Su, nor was he fighting for glory. He was only fighting for his conscience and integrity. In this battle, he only wanted to have a clear conscience, a clear conscience, a clear conscience, and a clear conscience of his own Dao. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu's faces completely darkened. They knew that this battle was inevitable, so they stopped trying to persuade him. Instead, they both took out their natal lone stars and joined forces to attack. They didn't believe that the two of them wouldn't be able to take down a junior like Zhuowen. Bang, bang, bang. The three of them clashed and the battle was thunderous. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu were cautious enough and did their best. However, after the real battle with Zhuowen, they realized that they had underestimated Zhuowen. At the moment of contact, the two of them realized that Zhuowen's combat strength was barely on par with theirs, or even slightly inferior. However, what really gave them a headache was Zhuowen's mysterious formation skills. In particular, Zhuowen always secretly set up formation patterns after a frontal attack, making it impossible for them to guard against it. They finally understood that Zhuowen's array Dao level was beyond their expectations. He was actually a half-step eternal level array Dao divine master. With the help of the formation patterns, Yun was like a tiger that had grown wings. Although he was fighting 1 against 2, he was still able to suppress Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu. Is this the rule of the ancient star transformation? During the battle, Zhuowen's eyes became more and more enlightened. He had fought with ancient star transformation experts many times, but most of them were at the early stage of the ancient star transformation. Most of them were dealt with cleanly and neatly, so he didn't have the time to carefully understand the specific rules of the ancient star transformation experts. Now, Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu were both at the peak of the ancient star transformation, and they were locked in a fierce battle with him. This gave Zhuowen a deeper understanding of the nature of the ancient star transformation. He was already at the half-step ancient star transformation realm and had accumulated enough ancient star transformation. He only needed an opportunity to comprehend it. Once he could find this opportunity, he would be able to smoothly cross the last half-step of the ancient star transformation and successfully condense his own life lone star. And now, it was his chance, a rare perfect opportunity to comprehend the ancient star transformation rules. The ancient star transformation not only changes one's life lone star, but also one's own divine power. Zhuan muttered to himself. Suddenly, his movements slowed down. The purple-gold divine sword in his right hand gently slashed out, facing Xiao Zihue's life lone star. "You're courting death." Xiao Zihue couldn't help but be overjoyed when he saw that Zhuan was going to take his life lone star head-on. One had to know that Zhuan had always avoided his life lone star and used his purple divine tree to fight against them. But now, this guy was going to take it head-on. Wasn't he courting death? Bang! Zhuan slashed out with his sword. It was very simple, but there was a strange starlight in the sword. Then, the life lone star that should have crushed Zhuan was sent flying by the slash. A deep sword mark appeared on its surface. Chapter 4085. This is Star God Power. This kid is comprehending the ancient star transformation and is evolving step by step. Leng Yanyu's eyes flashed coldly. He could see the mystery of Zhuowen's sword at a glance. Star God Power? But isn't this Star God Power too powerful? Xiao Zihue was in disbelief. She had been in the ancient star transformation for countless years, so she naturally knew about Star God Power. It was the special divine power of ancient star transformation cultivators. It was just that she had never seen a star god power that had just transformed into something as abnormal as Zhuowen. He had repelled her natal star with a single sword strike and had even left such a deep sword mark on it. This kid's combat power can't be measured by common sense. Clan leader Xiao, what are you waiting for? We must get rid of this kid before he evolves. Otherwise, when he successfully evolves, will you and I still be a match for him? Leng Yanyu's eyes were full of murderous intent. As he spoke to Xiao Zihue, he took out 2 scarlet pills. He threw one pill to Xiao Zihue and swallowed the other pill. The Supernova Divine Pill. Xiao Zihue looked at the pill in her hand that Leng Yanyu gave her and said in surprise. The Supernova Divine Pill was a peak divine pill that was at the peak of the 9 levels of heaven. The only use of this divine pill was to unleash all the potential of the natal star in the body of the ancient star transformation cultivator for a short period of time, and then burst out with power that was several times stronger than the cultivator's own. Of course, the side effects of this divine pill were also very great. It was said that it was very harmful to the natal star and could even shatter it directly. This would cause the cultivation level to drop, and it would be difficult to condense a natal star again. It could be said that this was a desperate divine pill. Unless it was a moment of life and death, one would not take such a divine pill. Now, you and I are at the moment of life and death. If we don't kill this kid, we will be the ones to die. Seeing that our 3 clans are about to win, are you willing to die at this juncture? Leng Yanyu urged. Xiao Zihue took a deep breath and did not hesitate for long before swallowing the Supernova Divine Pill in her palm. The moment they swallowed the Starburst Divine Pill, the life star that revolved around the 2 of them surged with a bloody light. If one looked carefully, one would find that their natal stars were burning with raging and unparalleled blood flames, and their power had increased by several times. What was even more terrifying was that the size of their natal lone stars had also increased by about 10 times, which was much more terrifying than before. Attack! We must kill this kid this time. Leng Yanyu's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he flew into the sky. He held the divine weapon in his hand and blasted it toward Zhuowen with the force of 10,000 kilograms. And the huge natal star that surrounded him was like an incomparably majestic mountain that smashed down on Zhuowen's head, as if it wanted to smash him into meat paste. Xiao Zihue was not to be outdone. She attacked from another direction and also launched a full-force attack on Zhuowen. Shameless! You actually took the Supernova Divine Pill. Lu Renjue struggled to stand up with the help of Shan Lingyun. When he saw the state of Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu in the sky, he immediately knew what was going on and cursed with an ugly look on his face. Shan Lingyun looked at Zhuowen worriedly. She did not know if the latter could deal with Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu, whose power had increased tremendously. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes were becoming more and more enlightened. It was as if he had fallen into a daze, and his eyes were not focused at all. However, the star god power in his body was becoming stronger and stronger. Moreover, he was still absorbing the power of the stars from the immemorial star and merging it with his own divine power. His star god power was much stronger than the star god power of an ordinary ancient star transformation realm cultivator. It was sharper and more domineering. When Leng Yanyu smashed his natal lone star over, Yun still slashed out with his sword. The blade of the purple-gold divine sword emitted even more intense starlight. Bam! When the purple-gold divine sword collided with the natal lone star, it was as if time had stopped. The surrounding space-time seemed to have stopped. After that, the surrounding space-time started to explode, and a terrifying black hole appeared. Zhuan groaned and could not help but retreat. On the other hand, Leng Yanyu did not move from his original position. However, his natal lone star was pushed back by a few meters. When Zhuan retreated, Xiao Zihui's attack also arrived. Zhuan snorted and took out his purple godfiend tree to block in front of him. The purple gold divine sword in his hand also slashed towards Xiao Zihui rapidly. Boom! Xiao Zihui's natal lone star sent the purple godfiend tree flying. Countless cracks appeared on the surface of the purple godfiend tree. It was obvious that it could not take more attacks. On the other hand, Xiao Zihui sneered and slashed out with his sword as well. His star god power poured out. When the two swords collided, countless sparks were wiped out. After that, the two of them flew out. This guy must die. When Leng Yanyu saw that Xiao Zihui, who had taken the Starburst Divine Pill, could only gain a slight advantage, the murderous intent in his eyes became even more intense. He attacked Zhuowen again. Leng Yanyu and Xiao Zihui cooperated very well. Their attacks were filled with terrifying murderous intent. They joined forces and attacked Zhuowen continuously. Zhuowen was forced to retreat under the combined attacks of the two whose auras had skyrocketed. The injuries on his body were also getting more and more serious. Leng Yanyu and Xiao Zihui relaxed when they saw that Zhuowen was being suppressed by them. They knew that it would not be long before Zhuowen died under their combined attacks. However, they did not realize that Zhuowen's aura was rapidly increasing. The more he fought with the two of them, the more terrifying the aura became. Zhuowen knew that he was about to break through. Die! Leng Yanyu and Xiao Zihui took advantage of one of Zhuowen's flaws. They attacked Zhuowen with their natal lone stars. Although Zhuowen tried his best to defend, he still spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. Jun! Shan Lingyun and Lu Renjue shouted in shock. He is not dead yet, but he is severely injured. Let's attack together and kill him completely. Leng Yanyu's eyes revealed a ruthless look. He brought along his natal lone star and swooped down. His aura was like a rainbow, like a falling meteor. Xiao Zihui naturally would not let go of this great opportunity to beat him up. He followed closely behind and was filled with murderous intent. When they were about to reach the deep pit where Zhuowen had fallen, two streaks of sword radiance shot into the sky. These two streaks of sword radiance slashed towards Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu respectively. Leng Yanyu and Xiao Zihui did not care. They casually placed their natal lone stars in front of them. However, what shocked them was that when the two streaks of sword radiance rushed towards their natal lone stars, they suddenly manifested two gigantic stars. These two stars were actually twice as large as Leng Yanyu's and Xiao Zihui's natal lone stars. It should be known that Leng Yanyu's and Xiao Zihui's natal lone stars had already grown several times larger with the help of the supernova divine pill. Now, these stars that were suddenly manifested by the sword radiance were even larger than their natal lone stars. It was really unbelievable. Chapter 4086. The two of them looked at the deep pit where Zhuowen had fallen. They couldn't believe that the two sword lights just now had been slashed out by Zhuowen. You two had a good fight, didn't you? Now it's my turn. An indifferent voice sounded. Then, Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu found that a figure was slowly walking out of the deep pit. This figure was in a sorry state. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his clothes were ragged and his body was covered with cuts and bruises. But the aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. As he walked, his aura was increasing at an incredible speed. This figure was none other than Zhuowen. He slowly raised his head and looked at Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu, who were shocked and uncertain, with a cold smile on his face. He had finally taken the last half step and successfully advanced to the ancient star transformation. All the divine power in his body had been successfully converted into powerful star god power. You advanced to the ancient star transformation? Leng Yanyu asked with an ugly expression. What do you think? Zhuowen smiled, and then he suddenly stomped his right foot. Instantly, the entire ground shook violently. Then, a miraculous scene occurred. The earth cracked open, and numerous gigantic meteors shot out from the depths of the earth. When these meteorites rushed out of the ground, Jun waved his right hand and countless rays of star god power swept out and merged with each ordinary meteorite. Then, the meteorites were reborn and turned into stars that shone brightly. I've just advanced to the ancient star transformation. I'll use the two of you as practice. Zhuowen glanced at the void and then took a step forward. The stars formed a long star corridor in the sky and extended in front of Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu. Are they all natal lone stars? How could he have so many? Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu were in disbelief. However, after sensing the aura of these stars, they were on the verge of collapse. One person had so many natal lone stars, while they only had one natal lone star. How could they fight? Zhuan quickly rushed over. Everywhere he passed, the natal lone stars were like the most loyal guards, revolving around him in an elliptical trajectory. When he arrived in front of Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu, countless natal stars scattered around Zhuan. With him as the center, they formed a unique star domain. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu were unknowingly trapped in this terrifying star domain. It's over! Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu were so scared that their faces turned pale. They finally felt the huge gap between them and Zhuowen. However, Zhuowen's attack had already arrived. He only pressed down gently with his right hand, and life-bound lone stars blasted towards the two of them from all directions. Bang bang bang. The two of them roared as they tried their best to control their natal stars to protect themselves, blocking the terrifying natal stars around them. However, the two of them did not last long. They spat out blood, and their natal lone stars could not withstand it and actually shattered. We have lost. Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu saw their natal lone stars shatter and the countless stars that were smashing towards them from all directions. They knew that the outcome was already decided, and they stopped struggling. Zhuowen clenched his right hand in the air, and the raging stars stopped. He stepped on the stars and arrived in front of the severely injured Xiao Zihui and Leng Yanyu. He took out two confinement array discs, completely confined the two of them, and kept them in his pocket dimension. We have won? Lu Renjue and Shan Lingyun could not believe what they had just seen. However, when they regained their senses, they were overjoyed. However, they did not realize that Zhuowen was frowning. Zhuowen looked into the depths of the void again, and it was still as calm as water. What's going on? Why hasn't the calamity of the ancient star transformation happened yet? Zhuowen mumbled to himself. He had been waiting for this calamity. The ancient star transformation was no small matter. He knew that this calamity would be extremely terrifying. However, the calamity that he had imagined did not happen. Instead, it was unusually calm. Zhuowen landed on the ground. Although he was very confused that the calamity of the ancient star transformation had not happened yet, he knew that this was not the time to be puzzled. He waved his sleeves, and numerous natal lone stars shot towards the battle between the three big clans and the Huxley elites. In an instant, there were endless screams in the battle. These stars seemed to have a mind of their own, and they all blasted towards the ancient star transformation elites of the three big clans. However, those who were in the early and middle stages of the ancient star transformation realm could not withstand a single attack from the stars. They were all severely injured by the shattering of their natal lone stars. Huxley's elites took advantage of this opportunity to beat the ancient star transformation elites who had shattered their natal lone stars. In an instant, the three big clans suffered heavy losses. In the blink of an eye, 70% of the ancient star transformation elites were killed. Those who were left were mostly in the late to middle stages of the ancient star transformation realm. However, they were also exhausted. It was only a matter of time before they were defeated. Zhuan landed beside Lu Renjue and Shan Lingyun. Lu Renjue hurriedly grabbed Zhuowen's arm and said emotionally, "Thank you. You saved our Huxley. You are our benefactor." Zhuan shook his head and said, "Huxley's crisis is not over yet. The real battle is not with us. Clan leader, don't move first. Let me treat your injuries first." However, Lu Renjue refused. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. "My life force has already been cut off. Even the limitless longevity divine medicine cannot save me. Don't waste your time." Zhuan fell silent. Lu Renjue was right. His life force had been cut off. He was already dead. There was no way to save him. Zhuan, the Phantom King and the three guardians are too terrifying. The Patriarch will not be able to hold on for long. Lingyun, I can only rely on you. I hope you can take good care of her. Lu Renjue looked at Zhuan with a smile. Zhuan nodded heavily and said, "Patriarch, you can rest assured about this matter. Also, I have already thought of a way out for you. Keep this letter well. After you successfully escape from the Huxley realm, you can open it. If you can't escape, I hope you can destroy this letter and not let it fall into the hands of the three big clans." Lu Renjue said solemnly. Zhuowen received the letter from Lu Renjue. He carefully kept it and promised Lu Renjue, "Very good, It is Huxley's fortune to have met you. Thank you. I have no regrets in dying." Lu Renjue laughed and passed away. Shan Lingyun hugged Lu Renjue's body tightly. She tried to hold back her tears, but they flowed more and more. The battle between the three big clans and Huxley had finally ended. The ancient star transformation experts of the three big clans were either dead or injured. They were no longer a threat to Huxley. "Clan leader! Clan leader!" When the three guardians and the 9 kings brought the remaining members of Huxley's clan to Zhuowen's side, they found that Lu Renjue had died. They all knelt on the ground and cried. Chapter 4087. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, Hushu City shook violently. Then, the space where the city was located began to collapse. In the depths of the chaotic void, the battle between Lu Yuanba, the Ghost Kings, and the three guardians had reached its climax. The aftershocks of their battle continued to hit Hushu City. Finally, the space where Hushu City was located reached its limit and began to collapse. Although Hushu City had a strong defense and was surrounded by many restrictive arrays, it could not withstand the power of the space collapse. It would not last long before it was destroyed along with the space collapse. "We have to leave Hushu City immediately." Zhuan looked at the three guardians and the God Thunder King. Since Lu Renjue had died, the 4 of them had temporarily become the leaders of Huxley. However, to Zhuowen's surprise, the 3 guardians, the God Thunder King, and the 9 kings of Huxley all knelt down before him. "Lord Zhue, Patriarch Lu has passed away. You are so powerful that you helped us defeat the elite warriors of the 3 ancient clans. From now on, you are the Patriarch of Huxley." Guardian Wan Yen, the leader of the 3 guardians, raised his head and said sincerely to Zhuan, "Please become the Patriarch of Huxley." Everyone was also looking at Zhuowen fervently. They had all seen Zhuowen's strength. Moreover, Zhuowen had saved them. Therefore, they were all willing to accept Zhuowen as the new Patriarch of Huxley. Zhuowen shook his head and said with a faint smile, "I am not a member of Huxley. I am not qualified to be your Patriarch. However, I have someone to recommend to you." Guardian Wan Yen asked. Yun held Shan Lingyun's hand and said, "My master, Shan Lingyun." She was the strongest spiritual master of speech at that time. She is also my master. The position of patriarch is hers. This, Huxley and the others looked hesitant. They naturally knew about Shan Lingyun's identity. Furthermore, many of the Heshu tribe members looked down on Shan Lingyun's birth. Now that Shan Lingyun was their clan leader, they subconsciously felt that something was wrong. The three great guardians exchanged glances. Although they didn't think much of Shan Lingyun, they noticed the meaning behind Zhuowen's words. Shan Lingyun was Zhuowen's master. As long as he could get Shan Lingyun on his side, he would be indirectly getting Zhuowen on his side as well. We are willing to appoint Shan Lingyun as the new leader of Huxley. The three protectors and the 9 kings were the first to express their stance. They understood what Zhuowen was implying. If they wanted to rope him in, they had to support Shan Lingyun. Disciple? How am I qualified to be the clan leader? Shan Lingyun was at a loss. Zhuowen rubbed Shan Lingyun's head gently and said with a smile, Master, when Patriarch Lu sees that you can inherit his position, I think he will be gratified in the underworld. Don't tell me you don't want to inherit his legacy? Shan Lingyun's petite body trembled when she heard this. Then, her eyes were filled with determination. She nodded heavily and said, Disciple, you are right. I am my father's daughter. I should inherit his legacy and lead our Huxley to survive. The rest of the Huxley people didn't dare to have any objections when they saw that the 3 great guardians and the 9 kings were supporting Shan Lingyun. They all addressed Shan Lingyun as the clan leader. Let's leave this place quickly. Hushu City can't hold on for much longer. Zhuowen realized that Hushu City was starting to collapse. It would probably collapse completely soon. Therefore, he pulled Shan Lingyun and led a group of people toward Huxley's teleportation portal. Although the 3 great guardians had already left the Temple of Ultimate God, Zhuowen would never return to the space-time corridor in the Temple of Ultimate God. After all, no one knew if they had set up some killing moves in the Temple of Ultimate God. If he went in again, he would be courting death. Most of the teleportation portals in Hushu City had been destroyed because of the battle. There weren't many left. Shan Lingyun, the 3 great guardians, and the 9 kings were the higher-ups of Huxley. They consciously stayed at the back and arranged for the people of Huxley to use the teleportation portal to leave Hushu City first. Master, the clan leader gave me this jade slip. It records 3 shortcuts to leave the Hushu region. As long as we use these 3 shortcuts to leave the Hushu region, we will definitely be able to shake off the pursuit of the 3 great clans. Zhuowen gave Shan Lingyun a copy of the jade slip that Lu Renjue had given him and instructed her in a low voice. Zhuowen believed that with the shortcuts in the jade slip and Shan Lingyun's powerful spirit language technique, they would be able to avoid the eyes and ears of the 3 great clans. Although the clan leaders and elite experts of the 3 great clans had basically died in Hushu City, Zhuowen knew that since the 3 great clans had made up their minds to kill Huxley, they would definitely have a backup plan. Therefore, after they escaped from Hushu City, they couldn't let their guard down. Shan Lingyun took the jade slip and looked at Zhuowen with gratitude. She was very emotional. She didn't expect that the only disciple she had ever taken in her life would become so amazing. She was filled with pride. As Zhuowen and the others arranged for clan leader Huxley to leave in an orderly manner, the battle between the 5 stalwart figures in the depths of the chaos void also came to an end. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. A figure in a sorry state flew out. After smashing through hundreds of huge meteorites, he landed on a dead planet fragment. Splat! Lu Yuanba had just landed on the planet fragment when he spat out a mouthful of blood. There was a huge wound in his chest that had been pierced through. The huge Qian Kuan world floating behind him was dim and lightless. Dense cracks appeared on its surface. It was already riddled with holes. The god guarding the Qian Kuan world was in an even worse state. His right arm and left leg were torn apart. He was covered in wounds, and his aura was extremely weak. Lu Yuanba, your strength is not bad. You can actually fight with the 4 of us to this extent. It's a pity that you didn't manage to condense the cosmic form. If not for the fact that my strength hasn't recovered to its peak, you wouldn't have been able to force me with your strength. I'm in such a sorry state. A gust of black fog attacked. The Ghost King's huge figure appeared not far away from the planet fragment. The Ghost King's condition wasn't much better. Whether it was the Qian Kuan world or the god inside the world, they were all covered in wounds and dim. Before the realm guardians of the three great clans arrived, the Ghost King had been at a disadvantage in the battle with Lu Yuanba. The Ghost King had originally thought that Lu Yuanba was just an ordinary cultivator of the great tribulation of heaven and earth. He didn't expect that this fellow had already taken half a step into the cosmic form realm. Chapter 4088. But what Lu Yuanba did not expect was that Saikou Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai would violate the rules of the domain, intrude into their Huxley, and launch a sneak attack on him. Lu Yuanba did not expect the sneak attack to succeed and was severely injured. Then, Saikou Hongfei, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai shamelessly joined forces with the Ghost King and launched a destructive attack on him. Lu Yuanba used all his skills, but unfortunately, his momentum was gone. He was beaten back by the four people, and his injuries became more and more serious. Now, Lu Yuanba was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Not only was the Qiankuan world almost destroyed, even the gods guarding the Qiankuan world were so weak that they no longer had the strength to fight. The Ghost King and the others obviously knew that Lu Yuanba was a lamp that had run out of oil, so they were not in a hurry to attack. Lu Yuanba, your scheming is really deep. In the past, during the domain conference, you never revealed your strength. But we did not expect your cultivation to have reached such a level. The three of us were also deceived by you. Saikou Hongfei was floating not far away. He looked coldly at Lu Yuanba. Saikou Hongfei, Ling Xinghai, Zhu Yangqi, you are really despicable. You actually joined forces with the Ghost King, an evil demon. If this matter is known by the other domains, the three of you will be condemned by everyone. Lu Yuanba said coldly. Ling Xinghai sneered, Lu Yuanba, you are really naive. Don't you know that the winner is king and the loser is in the wrong? As long as your Huxley is destroyed, so what if the other domains know? Our three great clans only need to fabricate a random reason is enough. No one will take the initiative to become enemies with our three great clans for a clan that has already been destroyed. Moreover, our three great clans did not join forces with the Ghost King. It was your Huxley that released the Ghost King in an attempt to overthrow our three great clans. Our three great clans were only passively retaliating. Do you think we should be blamed? Lu Yuanba was infuriated. This Ling Xinghai was truly shameless and was distorting the truth. However, Lu Yuanba also knew that Ling Xinghai was right. In this world, justice always stood on the side of the victor. Huxley had lost, and the three clans could easily smear his name and put themselves in a high position, because this was the privilege of the victor. Humans are truly treacherous and cunning. The Ghost King's eyes were filled with disdain as he muttered to himself. Zhu Yangqi said solemnly, Lu Yuanba, right now, there is only one path in front of you, and that is to submit to us and become an eternal servant of our three great clans. This way you can still live. Saikou Hongfei and Ling Xinghai also looked at Lu Yuanba. They didn't say anything, obviously agreeing with Zhu Yangqi's suggestion. Lu Yuanba laughed loudly, his voice as loud and clear as thunder. Is it that funny? Saikou Hongfei asked coldly. Isn't it funny? Lu Yuanba laughed wildly as he looked at Saikou Hongfei as if he was looking at a joke. He continued, you invaded my realm, destroyed my clans, and joined forces to kill me. You've already shed all pretense of cordiality, and now you're asking me to submit to you? I'm really sorry, but I'm not as shameless as you, and I can't learn it. Saikou Hongfei, Ling Xinghai, and Zhu Yangqi's expressions immediately became ugly. This Lu Yuanba really didn't know how to adapt to the situation at all. An inch of land, an inch of blood. I'm willing to burn my last drop of blood to protect Huxley realm until I die. Lu Yuanba slowly stood up. Suddenly, his right foot stomped, and the planet beneath his feet shattered into dust. He then charged towards Saikou Hongfei, Ling Xinghai, and Zhu Yangqi. At the same time, Lu Yuanba's Qian Kun world began to shrink rapidly. The god sitting in the Qian world seemed to have sensed something and let out a sorrowful sigh. As the Qian world shrank, Lu Yunba's aura burned like a raging fire, rapidly rising at an extremely fast speed. Not good, this guy is crazy, he wants to detonate the Qian world. Let's run. Saiku Hongfei was the first to react, retreating without hesitation. Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi naturally noticed this and retreated as well. However, they didn't see that the corner of Lu Yuanba's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Lu Yuanba took out a disc array, activated it, and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already behind Saiku Hongfei and the other two. Before Saiku Hongfei could react, Lu Yuanba's hands grabbed Saiku Hongfei's body tightly. Damn it. Old thing, you actually set up a temporary teleportation formation around us. Let go of me. Saiku Hongfei was shocked. He quickly focused his shadowless shattering domain on Lu Yuanba, and the countless calamity energies and gods in his Qian world launched thunderous attacks at Lu Yuanba. Splat. Lu Yuanba spat out another mouthful of blood, but he held on tightly to Saiku Hongfei and refused to let go. Die, Saiku Hongfei. You, who invaded our Hushu clan, will have to pay the price. Lu Yuanba laughed, and then his Qian world shrunk to the size of a thumbnail. Then, the black dot began to bloom with dazzling light, and a monstrous explosion erupted. Before the explosion completely engulfed Lu Yuanba, he silently looked down at the chaotic void, at the crumbling Hushu divine city. His eyes were filled with guilt, reluctance, and reluctance to part. My people, this is the only thing I can do for you, and also the last thing I can do for you. You can only rely on yourselves for the rest of your journey. Lu Yuanba's faint voice reverberated in the sky, and then it was completely drowned out by the terrifying explosion. Yun, Shan Lingyun, and the others, who were guiding the Huxley tribe to retreat, were also shocked by the terrifying explosion. This is the self-destruction of the Qian world. Ancestor, he sacrificed himself. Guardian Wan Yen suddenly knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to the explosion deep in the chaotic void, and his eyes were already filled with tears. The rest of the Huxley tribe also fell silent, and the surrounding atmosphere was filled with silence and sorrow. Don't let your ancestors' sacrifice be in vain, quickly retreat. Zhuan broke the silence and said in a low voice. Although Lu Yuanba had self-destructed and perished together with the Ghost King and the others, the ominous feeling in his mind was getting stronger and stronger, and he knew that they had to leave this place as soon as possible. Under Zhuowen's urging, the Huxley tribe also sped up. Soon, the Huxley tribe leader had been successfully teleported out. Lord Zhuowen, tribe leader, please leave first. Guardian Wan Yen suddenly said to Zhuowen. Zhuowen looked deeply at Guardian Wan Yen, the 3 guardians, and the 9 Huxley tribe leaders. He saw the determination in their eyes. Finally, Zhuowen's gaze fell on King Luke, and he said in a low voice, Luke, follow us and leave first. Luke shook his head, and suddenly bowed deeply to Zhun, saying, Master, thank you for saving Huxley. Following you is the best thing that Luke has done in his life. Boom, boom, boom. The explosion in the chaotic void expanded rapidly, and in an instant, it spread to the space where the holy city of Hushu was located. Suddenly, the holy city of Hushu, which was on the verge of collapse, was completely torn apart. Master, let's go. I'll leave the tribe leader to you. Perhaps in the future, Huxley tribe can be revived in her hands. Luke quickly activated the teleportation formation and pulled Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun into it. White light flashed, and Zhuowen silently turned his head, looking at the smile on Luke's face and the determination on the faces of the others. He understood their choice. Chapter 4089. A burst of white light flashed past, and Zhuo Wen and Shan Lingyun appeared in a valley with desolate expressions. At this moment, there were many Huxley tribesmen standing in the valley. They were all looking at Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun with hope in their eyes. Lord Zhuo Chief, where are the guardians? When the Huxley tribesmen saw that only Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun had come out, they finally realized that something was wrong and hurriedly asked. Shan Lingyun's eyes were red and large drops of tears flowed down her cheeks. She sobbed and said, "I'm sorry. They chose to stay in Hushu City." Zhuan patted Shan Lingyun's head and said to the Huxley tribesmen, "This is the choice of the 3 guardians and the 9 Huxley kings. I respect their choice. At the same time, I will keep my promise and bring all of you out of Hushu region safely." The Huxley tribesmen felt as if they had been dealt a heavy blow. Their eyes were all red. Although they were very sad, they were more determined. They knew that the task of reviving Huxley had fallen on their shoulders. They could not give up. Boom, boom, boom. In the distant sky, a dazzling light suddenly exploded. This light was like countless stars exploding. It almost lit up the entire Hushu region. At this moment, countless living beings in Hushu region were attracted by this dazzling light. They all looked up. Hushu City finally couldn't take it anymore. It completely exploded and dissipated. The Huxley tribesmen all knelt on the ground and bowed to the dazzling light. They didn't cry, nor did they curse. They were very quiet. Their eyes were filled with resolute hope and the flames of revenge. They knew very well that they carried the hope of the entire Huxley tribesmen. They had to pass on this hope. In the future, they would return to Hushu region and make the Jinshui tribe, God's Eye, and Purple Mirage pay a huge price. "Lord Zhua, Chief, please bring us out of here." The Huxley tribesmen shouted in unison. Zhuo nodded. He took out a huge ship and sent everyone into it. Then he drove the ship towards one of the shortcuts in the Jade Scroll that Lu Renjue had given him. As a precaution, Zhuan took out 2 more ships and flew towards the other 2 shortcuts. In addition, he set up a large number of defensive and concealment arrays on the surface of each ship. "Master, give these array discs to everyone. Remember, 2 per person." Zhuowen took out a shocking number of array discs and instructed Shan Lingyun to distribute them to the others. "Disciple, what array discs are these?" Lingyun asked curiously. "Teleportation array discs. What I'm most afraid of now is that old Ancestor Lu's self-detonation wasn't able to completely destroy the Ghost King and the others. If they don't die, their next target will be us. This teleportation array discs was prepared for that. Of course, it would be best if they died," Zhuowen said in a low voice. Hearing this, Shan Lingyun also realized the seriousness of the matter. She held a pile of array discs in her small hands and hurriedly ran to the deck to distribute the array discs. In the depths of the chaotic void, Lu Yuanba's explosion had caused a huge commotion. Many experts from the nearby regions had been alarmed. Of course, they did not dare to get close. They only observed from afar. The area where the explosion had occurred had become a land of death. There was nothing there. Everything that had a physical form was turned into nothingness by the terrifying explosion. In this area of dead silence, an inconspicuous black smoke drifted out. The black smoke continued to surge out and began to condense into a weak and dim shadow. "Damn it, lunatic. Lu Yuanba is a lunatic. He actually chose to self-destruct his Qian Kuan world." This faint shadow was the Ghost King. The Ghost King was extremely weak. It was difficult for him to condense into a solid state. He cursed loudly. It should be known that experts of the Great Carefree Realm had already reached a certain level of freedom. They could do whatever they wanted. Even if an expert of the Great Carefree Realm was killed, as long as there was a trace of blood or a trace of soul that had not been destroyed, they could be revived. However, if the Qian Kuan world self-destructed, then one's body and soul would be destroyed. It was a true death. There would not even be a chance for reincarnation. Many experts of the Great Carefree Realm would rather be killed than choose to self-destruct. However, Lu Yuanba had chosen to self-destruct in order to create a chance for the Hushu clan to escape. He was indeed very ruthless. At the same time, not far from the Ghost King, a small flame and a speck of starlight appeared. The small flame shot out a wisp of flame and formed a blurry figure. It was Zhu Yangqi. The speck of starlight also managed to condense into a dim figure. From the figure, it should be Ling Xinghai. Damn it! If we had thought that this madman would choose to self-destruct in the end, we would not have forced him into a corner. Ling Xinghai said, vexed. Lu Yuanba really has guts. I admire his courage. Zhu Yangqi said in a low, muffled voice. That's not courage. It's stupidity. If I were him, I wouldn't fight so hard for my clansmen. After all, in a clan, the great Carefree Realm experts are the foundation. As long as the great Carefree Realm experts don't die, it doesn't matter even if his clansmen all die. In the future, there is still a high possibility of rebuilding the clan. But now, Lu Yuanba was dead, and the rest were just insignificant small fries. They would cultivate until they died. None of them can reach Lu Yuanba's level. Ling Xinghai sneered. Zhu Yangqi nodded in agreement. Then he looked around and said, Brother Ling. Brother Saiku didn't say anything for a long time. Do you think he was directly killed by Lu Yuanba? At that time, when Lu Yuanba self-destructed, he was tightly holding onto Saiku Hongfei's body. Saiku Hongfei was at the core of the explosion. With that kind of terrifying self-destruction energy, even an expert of the same realm as Lu Yuanba might die, not to mention Saiku Hongfei, whose strength was inferior to Lu Yuanba's. Ling Xinghai actually had the same thought. Just as he was about to speak, a sinister voice came from nearby. Brother Zhu, Brother Ling, you guys want nothing more than for me to die in Lu Yuanba's hands, right? Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi were shocked and hurriedly looked towards the source of the voice. Tens of thousands of meters behind them, the void slowly cracked open as if some invisible force was tearing the void apart. Saiku Hongfei, who looked like a gray-haired boy, walked out with difficulty. Chapter 4090. Not only that, but Saiku Hongfei's spirit was also in a terrible state. He was experiencing the pain of being torn to pieces and then forcibly pieced back together. Although he looked much better than Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai, he was in a much better state. In reality, Saiku Hongfei's injuries were much more serious than the other two. The moment Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai self-destructed, they had already put away their Qian Kuan worlds. They had also restrained their auras to the extreme to avoid serious injuries. Saiku Hongfei was at the center of the explosion. The situation had been extremely urgent, so he hadn't even had time to put away his Qian Kuan world before he was engulfed by the explosion. Whether it was his Qian Kuan world, his physical body, or his spirit, they were all thoroughly destroyed in an instant. If Saiku Hongfei didn't have the unique power of the shadowless shattering domain, he probably would have been killed on the spot. Damn it! We've really suffered a double loss this time. Saiku Hongfei's chest was burning with rage. Not only had the leaders and elites of the three great clans perished in Hushu City, but he was also so severely injured that he was on the verge of death. They had originally planned to divide the resources of Hushu City. Now that the city was completely destroyed, he didn't even get a single benefit. How could Saiku Hongfei not be angry? Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi understood Saiku Hongfei's meaning. Their expressions were also very ugly. They had thought that the surprise attack would succeed smoothly, but they hadn't expected that it would end in a situation where both sides suffered great losses. They hadn't expected this either. Not far away, the Ghost King gloated as he watched the flustered and exasperated Saiku Hongfei and the others. He was already very unhappy with the spirit contract that the three of them had made for him. Now that he could see the three of them suffer, he was naturally happy to see them suffer. Lu Yuanba, you risked your life to protect your clansmen. Fine, I'll kill every last one of your clansmen to vent my anger. Saiku Hongfei couldn't take this lying down. He looked at Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi and said, Brother Zhu, Brother Ling, come with me to hunt down the rest of Huxley's clansmen. However, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai shook their heads and said, We won't go. The rest of Huxley's clansmen are insignificant. We won't get involved. Saiku Hongfei snorted coldly. He didn't make any further demands. Instead, he opened his shadowless shattering domain and left the chaotic starry sky. Brother Saiku, you're being too impulsive. We've already set up an inescapable net in Hex Realm. If Huxley's people want to leave Hex Realm, they won't be able to escape our eyes and ears. Moreover, our injuries are so serious that we should treat them as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we miss the best time to treat our injuries, there will definitely be hidden dangers in the future. Ghost King, come back with us. We opened up a space between the three realms. It was built especially for you. Ling Xinghai shook his head and called out to the Ghost King. Then he and Zhu Yangqi returned to their respective realms. They were in a hurry to go back and recuperate, not daring to delay for even a moment. A streak of flowing light flashed past a field. The true appearance of this streak of flowing light was a divine ship. At the end of the wilderness was an endless mountain range. On the deck of the divine ship, Nguyen stood at the bow of the ship and focused on steering the ship. Its speed had reached the limit of what he could drive. We've arrived at the North Desert Mountain Range. We're only half an hour away from the border of Hex Realm. Shan Lingyun stood beside Zhuan. She looked at the map of the shortcut in the jade slip in her hand and compared it with the one in front of them. She was rather excited. Nguyen was in high spirits. They had driven the divine ship for half an hour without any accidents. There weren't even any pursuers. Now they weren't far from Hex Realm. Zhuan let his guard down slightly. It seems like the worst-case scenario didn't happen. Perhaps the Ghost King and the rest are already dead, Zhuan said with a faint smile. Let me see. Shan Lingyun wrinkled her nose. She was a little worried. Zhuan nodded. Shan Lingyun's art of spiritual speech was much stronger than his. Her ability to deduce and predict was also not something that he could compare to. Generally speaking, Zhuan believed in the things that Shan Lingyun calculated. Shan Lingyun opened her third eye and started to use her art of spiritual speech. Puchi. Suddenly, Shan Lingyun spat out a mouthful of blood. Even her third eye was bleeding. Master, what's wrong? Zhuan was shocked. He hurriedly supported Shan Lingyun's tottering body. Shan Lingyun struggled to prop herself up. She trembled as she said, Junior brother, run. Saiku Hongfei has caught up. He's right behind our divine ship. What? Zhuan's expression changed. At this moment, the divine ship that was originally flying at high speed suddenly stopped. An unknown invisible hand seemed to have grabbed the tail of the divine ship and held it firmly. Everyone on the divine ship was shocked. They didn't know what had happened outside. Why did the divine ship suddenly stop? Ants from Huxley, why are you running? I'm very unhappy because your patriarch almost killed me. Now, I'm in a very bad mood. I need to kill some people from Huxley to vent my anger. From now on, all of you are my puppets. I can kill you however I want to. You have the right to resist. The more you resist, the happier I will be. A sinister voice came from the back of the divine ship. It's the guardian of the Goldwater domain, Saiku Hongfei. Everyone's eyes widened. They were in despair. Saiku Hongfei was an expert of the great carefree realm. Even their patriarch's self-destruction couldn't kill him. What power did they have to resist? Senior brother Zhua, what should we do? Sa Mei and Tua Sheng hurriedly came to the bow of the ship and asked Zhuan for help. Sa Mei and Tua Sheng had been kept in Zhuan's parallel world. Of course, the two of them were knocked out by Zhuan. Therefore, they didn't know about the secrets of Zhuan's parallel world. After leaving the Huxley sacred city, Zhuan let the two of them out. They were one of the leaders of the Huxley tribe this time. Both of you, inform everyone to use the array disc in their hands. Don't hesitate. Do it immediately. Zhuan said calmly. Sa Mei and Tua Sheng didn't dare to delay. They immediately conveyed Zhuan's message. Instantly, everyone on the divine ship activated the array disc in their hands. Beams of teleportation light lit up. Then, figures were teleported away from the deck. The moment everyone was teleported away, Saiku Hongfei started his attack. The entire divine ship started to collapse. Master, let's go. Zhuan took Shan Lingyun and used the array disc immediately. Before the white light engulfed the two of them, the divine ship was completely destroyed. Zhuan glanced behind and saw Saiku Hongfei, who was flustered and exasperated. Saiku Hongfei also saw Zhuan and Shan Lingyun. Chapter 4091. There were 3 shortcuts in the jade slip that Lu Renjue gave Zhuan. When Zhuan had first set off, he had released 3 divine ships and traveled along 3 different shortcuts. Even a cunning rabbit had 3 burrows. Naturally, Zhuowen had made many preparations so that he would not be caught off guard if the guardians of the three clans caught up to him. The second shortcut was a boundless green divine lake. The divine boat sped across the divine lake. Bush. On the deck of the second divine ship, streaks of white light lit up. The white light faded away, revealing a group of people. They were the Huxley clan. We're fine. Where is this? Everyone looked around and realized that they were still on the divine ship. Furthermore, this divine ship was completely undamaged. They all revealed expressions of joy as if they had just survived a calamity. Sa Mei and Tuo Sheng also appeared on the deck. They looked around and immediately recognized that this was the second shortcut to leave the Hushu region. Did Senior Marshal Brother Zhuo predict that something like this would happen, so he prepared a backup plan? Sa Mei and Ta Sheng looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. What kind of observation and meticulous mind did one need to be in order to be able to think so thoroughly in the process of escaping? The two of them were even more in awe and admiration of Zhuowen. Zhuowen and Shan Lingyun were the last to appear on the deck of the ship. Under the respectful gazes of the Hushu people, the two of them immediately came to the bow of the ship. This is the Lake of Blood Jade, and it leads to another remote border of Hushu region. So long as you leave the Lake of Blood Jade, you'll basically arrive at the border of Hushu City. Shan Lingyun stood at the bow of the ship, surveyed the surroundings, and hit the nail on the head. My speed is too slow. I have to speed up. Otherwise, Saika Hongfei will catch up to me. Zhuowen's eyes were gloomy as he started to gather all the god power in his body and channeled it into the array formation on the surface of the divine ship. At the same time, Zhuowen also called on everyone on the deck to channel their god power into the surrounding spell formations and work together to increase the speed of the divine ship. Naturally, no one would refuse. With everyone's help, the array on the surface of the divine ship shone with an even brighter light. Moreover, the formation gathered everyone's divine power and gathered it at the tail of the divine ship. Then, it released an extremely dazzling exhaust. After that, the divine ship was like a ferocious tiger that had been released from its cage. Its speed suddenly increased by several times. Wherever it passed, even its afterimage could not be distinguished. One could only vaguely see the long, gorgeous tail of the ship. Not long after, the divine ship rushed out of the Jade Blood Divine Lake. At the end of the Jade Blood Lake, there was a huge stone arch. In front of the stone arch stood a pure white divine pillar. On the divine pillar, the words Hushu Realm were engraved. Everyone knew that this was one of the borders of the Hushu Realm. However, what caused everyone's expressions to turn ugly was that there were numerous figures floating in the air behind the stone arch, as if they were waiting for something. These figures were all wearing golden battle suits with a special symbol of a golden water droplet on them. It's the Jinshui clan. As expected, the three great clans have prepared a backup plan. They have already sent a group of people to wait here. Shan Lingyun said with a frown. On the other side, when Zhuowen's divine ship appeared, the cultivators of the Jinshui clan, who had been waiting for a long time, flew into the air as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Each of them released their powerful auras. There were more than 1,000 cultivators of the Jinshui clan waiting here, and none of them were weak. The leader was a middle-aged man with an aquiline nose. He had the strongest cultivation in this group, but he was only at the early stage of the ancient star transformation realm. It should be known that the most elite experts of the three great clans had basically been brought into the Hushu Divine City by the three great clan leaders. It could be said that they had all been wiped out. As for the remaining cultivators who were waiting here, their overall strength was naturally far inferior to the elite experts brought by the three great clan leaders. Their main mission was only to catch the fish that had escaped Huxley's net. Unfortunately, they did not manage to catch the fish. Instead, they caught a shark that was powerful enough to kill them. Hee, after waiting for so long, the heavens really do not disappoint those who wait. Finally, a fish that escaped the net has appeared. You must all be ordinary members of Huxley's clan, right? You are not likely to be our match. If you disembark and surrender now, you may have a chance to live. Otherwise, don't blame me for. The aquiline nose man grinned and stood at the front of the group. He held a large saber in his hand and pointed arrogantly at Zhuowen and the others. However, before he could finish speaking, an incomparably huge star suddenly fell from the sky and ruthlessly smashed into the aquiline nose man's body. Splat! The aquiline nose man spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying by the star. He only had time to scream before his body could not withstand the terrifying power of the star and was torn to pieces. His soul was even more miserable. He did not even have the chance to leave his body before disappearing into thin air. Don't be so long-winded and annoying. Anyone who dares to block my path will die. Zhuowen merely raised a hand and casually condensed a single star to destroy the aquiline nose man. The people who were originally prepared to have a big fight with the hook-nosed man had just been stirred up by the hook-nosed man's words when they saw the scene of the hook-nosed man being killed in one move. The whole scene fell into a strange silence. All of you, come with me. The space in Zhuowen's right hand changed slightly, and numerous enormous stars appeared out of thin air. Then, these stars began to charge into the group without any trace and began to crush them with overwhelming power. Miserable shrieks rang out one after another. Under the attacks of these stars, this troop of several thousand people was utterly defeated, crying for their fathers and mothers. In less than 3 breaths of time, this group was completely wiped out. Not a single person survived. Zhuowen was expressionless. After destroying the Jinshui clan's group in a short period of time, he continued to drive the divine ship to the distance at lightning speed. But not long after, Shan Lingyun, who was standing beside Zhuowen, tightly grasped Zhuowen's arm and said in a trembling voice, "Disciple, he caught up again." Zhuowen took a deep breath, and his eyes became colder and colder. He naturally knew who Shan Lingyun was talking about. It was Psycho Hongfei. Is the range of the divine sense of the great carefree realm so large? Our divine ship has already escaped out of the Hishu region. How could he still detect it? Zhuowen said in shock and anger. The range of the divine sense of the great carefree realm is far from what the heaven-breaking realm can compare to. Ancestor once said that the range of the divine sense of the weakest great carefree realm, the early stage of the great carefree realm, is at least as vast as a realm. Chapter 4092. Psycho Hongfei should be in the middle stage of the Qian Kun Great Tribulation. His divine sense should only cover a region. As long as we can't get rid of him by at least a region, we will never be able to get rid of him. When said with a frown. Sa Mei and Tuo Sheng smiled bitterly and nodded. Zhuowen was deep in thought. There was a tinge of hesitation in his eyes. Boom! Suddenly, the godly ship shook violently as if it had been hit by a heavy blow. Its speed also decreased sharply as if it was being pulled by some force. Little things, you won't be able to escape from me. No matter where you go or how fast you run, you won't be able to escape. I will still be able to catch you. Kikik, don't waste your time. Psycho Hongfei's eerie voice came from behind the godly ship. He had caught up with the second godly ship and had it firmly under his control. Sa Mei, Tuo Sheng, passed down the order. Use the teleportation formation disc again and teleport to the third godly ship. Zhuowen ordered calmly. Sa Mei and Tuo Sheng were so scared that their faces turned pale. Sa Mei said bitterly, "Senior brother Zhuo, we won't be able to escape. Psycho Hongfei is too powerful. His divine sense is too wide. We won't be able to escape from him. Hurry up and go." Zhuowen berated. Sa Mei and Tuo Sheng lowered their heads. However, they were not slow as they passed down Zhuowen's order. Very quickly, the deck lit up with beams of teleportation light. The Hushu tribesmen who had received the order crushed the second teleportation formation disc without hesitation. After a while, most of the Hushu tribesmen had been teleported away. Only Zhuowen, Shan Lingyun, Sa Mei, and Tuo Sheng were left on the godly ship. Damn teleportation formation again. Cunning ants, you are too despicable. Psycho Hongfei, who was chasing behind, immediately noticed the teleportation light on the godly ship. He could not help but be furious. Without hesitation, he slammed his palm on the godly ship. The godly ship could not withstand such a terrifying attack and started to crumble. It could not hold on for much longer. Disciple, let's go. Shan Lingyun, Sa Mei, and Ta Sheng also took out their teleportation formation discs and activated them. When the white light enveloped them, they realized that Yuan had not used a teleportation array. Disciple, Shan Lingyun stared at Yun. Her eyes were filled with doubt and confusion. If we continue to run like this, we will eventually be caught. If we can't completely shake off Psycho Hongfei, our escape will be in vain. Only one of you can stall him and buy time for all of you to successfully escape. Zhuowen said softly with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. The doubt in Shan Lingyun's eyes disappeared and was replaced by disbelief and tears. No. Shan Lingyun used all her strength to shout this sentence, but it was eventually drowned out by the teleportation radiance. Zhuowen stood quietly on the ship, ignoring the ship that was about to shatter. His gaze suddenly turned sharp. Through the countless cracks, he coldly looked at the figure outside the ship. Psycho Hongfei, let me see how strong an expert of the great carefree realm is. As Zhuowen muttered to himself, the divine ship finally collapsed and was annihilated. Not far behind the godly ship, a shadow slowly appeared. Finally, it shrank and turned into a gray-haired boy. He was Psycho Hongfei, who was chasing after them. Psycho Hongfei's face was gloomy. This was the second time he had been shaken off. To think that he, the guardian of the Goldwater region and an expert of the great calamity of heaven and earth, was chasing after a group of ants who had not even reached the ancient star transformation realm. They had successfully escaped twice. If others knew about this, he would lose his face. Psycho Hongfei, who was about to leave, suddenly frowned. He waved his sleeve and pushed back a natal lone star that was flying behind him. Psycho Hongfei slowly turned around and saw that not far from where the godly ship had been destroyed, a young man was faintly floating and staring at him with a sharp gaze. Who are you? A puny early-stage ancient star transformation realm cultivator actually didn't leave and stayed here to wait for death? Psycho Hongfei raised his eyebrows and looked at Zhuowen mockingly. After discovering that Zhuowen was only at the early stage of the ancient star transformation realm, there was a trace of contempt in the depths of his eyes. He did not take Zhuowen seriously at all. I'm sorry, I didn't stay to wait for death. I was waiting for you. Zhuowen said indifferently. He carefully sized up Psycho Hongfei and was even more certain in his heart. Although Psycho Hongfei looked fine, he could acutely sense that Psycho Hongfei's aura was extremely weak. Compared to when he first appeared, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, the surface of Psycho Hongfei's body was covered in cracks. These cracks were like tattoos and seemed difficult to erase. Obviously, it was not that Psycho Hongfei did not want to erase these cracks, but that he did not have the strength to do so. There was no doubt that Psycho Hongfei's injuries in the battle with Lu Yuanba were more serious than Zhuowen had imagined. Zhuowen knew that he could fight this battle. Of course, this was also because Zhuowen guessed that Psycho Hongfei was seriously injured, so he took the risk to stay and stall for time with Psycho Hongfei. Otherwise, if Psycho Hongfei had chased after him in his peak state, Zhuowen would have turned around and left without a second thought. He would not have fought him head-on. Waiting for me? Psycho Hongfei was stunned, then he sneered, Are you waiting for me to kill you? I'm waiting for you to be killed by me. The power of Ancestor Lu's self-destruction must not be pleasant, right? How much strength can you use now? Zhuowen said indifferently. Psycho Hongfei was unable to restrain his anger. He stared fixedly at Zhuowen and said in a low voice, Are you mocking me? Are you not worthy of being mocked? Zhuowen laughed. You're courting death. Psycho Hongfei was furious. He suddenly released the shadowless shattering domain. Like an invisible shadow, he flew out and attacked Zhuowen. The moment the shadowless shattering domain enveloped Zhuowen, Zhuowen immediately felt his body tremble. A vast power seemed to be pulling him tightly. However, Zhuowen relaxed because the shadowless shattered domain that Psycho Hongfei released this time was much weaker than the shadowless shattered domain that he had experienced the first time in Absolute Divine Hall. Break for me. Zhuowen did not hide his aura. Like an erupting volcano, His aura surged into the sky. Then, around his body, natal lone stars appeared out of thin air. They revolved around Zhuan in a strange oval trajectory, forming a powerful stellar domain around him. The stellar domain bloomed with brilliant starlight and burst out with terrifying stellar energy. It actually resisted Saiku Hongfei's shadowless, shattering domain. Chapter 4093. In the sky above the boundless mountain range, two figures were facing each other proudly. One of them was surrounded by many stars, which revolved around him in different orbits, forming an extremely terrifying starry domain. The other figure was surrounded by endless shadows, which seemed to spread endlessly, filled with an aura of terror and despair. The starry domain and the shadow domain collided, erupting with dazzling aftershocks. As for the endless mountain ranges below, they were unable to withstand the energy from the collision of the two forces and collapsed one after another, turning into ruins. Zhuan heaved a sigh of relief, finally completely relieved. Saiku Hongfei was indeed severely injured, and his strength had decreased greatly. The shadowless shattered domain, which had caused him to be in a sorry state, did not pose much of a threat to him now. Zhuan knew very well that this was mainly because he had just advanced to the ancient star transformation and his strength had increased greatly, and Saiku Hongfei's injuries were too severe. "Who are you?" Saiku Hongfei frowned slightly as he looked at Zhuan, feeling more and more shocked. Although his strength had decreased greatly due to his injuries, he was still much stronger than a peak ancient star transformation cultivator. But now, this young man in front of him had just advanced to the ancient star transformation, and yet he was able to block his shadowless shattered domain, which made him feel extremely incredulous. In particular, Zhuan's numerous natal lone stars completely shocked Saiku Hongfei. This was not something an ordinary ancient star transformation cultivator could do. At this moment, Saiku Hongfei thought of many things. He looked at Zhuan seriously, subconsciously thinking that the latter was very likely from one of the top 5 invincible domains in the 100 domains of the Outer Realm. The 100 domains of the Outer Realm had a total of 108 domains, which were naturally divided into different grades and grades. A powerful domain could casually destroy several weak domains with a wave of their hand. According to the grades of domains, there were 5 grades: low, medium, high, supreme, and invincible. The Goldwater domain guarded by Saiku Hongfei, the Divine Eye domain guarded by Zhu Yangqi, and the Purple Illusion domain guarded by Ling Xinghai were all low-grade domains, which were ranked at the bottom of the 100 domains of the Outer Realm. Naturally, the Hushu realm that they had joined forces to attack was also a low-level realm just like them. The highest level of invincible realm was an invincible existence in the entire 100 outer domains. Each of these realms was a colossus that could wipe out most of the living beings in the 100 domains. They were the true holy lands of the 100 domains. In Saiku Hongfei's eyes, Zhuan's ancient star transformation was already so powerful. In addition, his life star was too strange and powerful. Subconsciously, he thought that this person was definitely a genius from a powerful domain, and his heart was filled with dread. Zhuan naturally didn't know that Saiku Hongfei had thought so much in the blink of an eye. He looked at Saiku Hongfei indifferently and said in a low voice, "You don't have the right to know my name?" Saiku Hongfei was furious, but he became even more vigilant. The more arrogant Zhuan was, the more convinced he was of his conjecture. Therefore, although he was angry, he still did not attack again. With Fellow's talent and strength, you must not be one of Huxley's people, right? Saiku Hongfei asked carelessly. Zhuan showed a trace of surprise. He didn't think that Saiku Hongfei, who had never seen him before, would be able to tell that he wasn't one of Huxley's people. Saiku Hongfei's observation skills were excellent, and he immediately saw the flash of surprise on Zhuan's face. He became even more convinced of his conjecture. "Fellow, if you're not one of Huxley's people, you don't have to stand up for them. This was simply a thankless task. If Fellow is willing to leave, I will not attack you again." Saiku Hongfei said. Zhuan's expression was strange. What was going on with Saiku Hongfei? Just a moment ago, he was shouting at him and glaring at him angrily. Why did he suddenly change his personality and become so easy to talk to? How could Zhuan know that Psycho Hongfei was not afraid of Zhuan, but was thinking too much? He thought that Zhuan's background was extraordinary, and before he found out the truth, he was not willing to completely offend Zhuan. Zhuan, on the other hand, deliberately revealed a contemplative expression, but did not speak. His original goal was to delay Psycho Hongfei and allow the Huxley's people to escape the range of Psycho Hongfei's consciousness as soon as possible. Now that there was such a great opportunity, he naturally had to make good use of it. Moreover, he really did not want to fight Psycho Hongfei. After all, Psycho Hongfei was a supreme expert of the great carefree realm. Even if he was seriously injured, he was still very difficult to deal with. Zhuan did not have much of a chance of winning. "Fellow, have you thought it through?" Psycho Hongfei furrowed his brows and asked impatiently. He had naturally thought of Zhuo Wen's little trick. Hence, he urged Zhuan. Sorry, I still can't leave. That's because there's someone very important to me in that group of people. Therefore, your suggestion, I won't accept it," Zhuo Wen said slowly. Psycho Hongfei's expression turned completely cold. He had already given Zhuo enough face, but this guy did not give him any. Since this was the case, even if this person's background was great, he could not tolerate it. At worst, after killing this person, he would destroy the evidence and destroy the corpse. Even if this person's background was extraordinary, the faction behind him might not be able to trace it back to him. Thinking of this, Psycho Hongfei's eyes were filled with killing intent. If that's the case, then go to hell. Psycho Hongfei's shadowless, shattering domain suddenly exploded with terrifying power. Then, the space inside the domain collapsed inch by inch, and a powerful force erupted. The stalemate between the two domains was completely broken. Zhuowen's astral domain began to be completely suppressed by the shadowless, shattering domain, and it kept shrinking and retreating. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Psycho Hongfei's shadowless, shattering domain to suddenly become so powerful. At the same time, when the shadowless, shattering domain suddenly became stronger, Psycho Hongfei also made his move. He shot over like a bolt of lightning and rushed into Zhuowen's astral domain in the blink of an eye. Boom boom boom. When Psycho Hongfei charged into the starry domain, the stars within the domain shot towards him like meteors. Psycho Hongfei's expression was calm. His hands were like the sharpest weapons in the world. Palm after palm, he blasted away all the stars that were coming at him from all directions. Chapter 4094. Psycho Hongfei clenched his right hand into a fist and punched toward Zhuowen's face like a rainbow piercing through the sun. Terrifying energy rippled out like ripples in water. With Psycho Hongfei as the center, the ripples spread out in all directions, becoming denser and more powerful. Zhuowen's expression was grave as he cursed in his heart. Psycho Hongfei hadn't used his full strength earlier, causing Zhuowen to misjudge Psycho Hongfei's strength. However, Zhuowen didn't panic. Instead, he took out a purple-gold divine sword and slashed out hundreds and thousands of sword rays in an instant. Every sword ray seemed to be able to split open the heavens and earth. Its power was immense and terrifying. At the same time, Zhuowen's fingers moved like a zither player plucking the strings of a zither. He was constantly plucking the strings in the air as he laid out a formation. As Zhuowen continued to form seals, dense formation runes condensed in front of him, forming a dense defense like a spiderweb. Boom, boom, boom. After Zhuowen finished forming the seals, Psycho Hongfei's attack arrived. Although Zhuowen's sword rays were powerful and terrifying, they didn't have any advantage in front of Psycho Hongfei. Psycho Hongfei's fist, which was as heavy as a mountain, smashed dozens of sword rays into smithereens. Then, Psycho Hongfei's fists rapidly swung out like meteors. His entire body was like a phantom as he shuttled through the sword rays. Every time he shuttled through the sword rays, he would shatter dozens of sword rays. In a short while, the hundreds and thousands of sword rays Zhuowen had unleashed were all annihilated by Psycho Hongfei. After completely annihilating the sword rays, Psycho Hongfei finally appeared in front of Zhu. On the other hand, he finally noticed that numerous extremely powerful grand formations had been set up around Zhuowen since an unknown period of time. The moment he approached the formation runes, countless formation runes seemed to have a chain reaction. They shook violently and produced a powerful binding force that bound Saiku Hongfei's limbs. Saiku Hongfei's speed instantly slowed down as if he was moving in slow motion. Zhuowen grasped this opportunity and suddenly stabbed out with the violet gold divine sword, aiming for Saiku Hongfei's heart. Saiku Hongfei's expression changed drastically. He clearly didn't expect Zhuowen to have set up an invisible formation around him. He was caught off guard and fell for it. What's more, he found that this was a half-step eternal rank array. If he was at his peak, such a formation wouldn't pose any threat to him. But now, he had been careless, and his strength had plummeted. Thus, he was still affected by the formation. Although the formation could only affect him for 3 breaths of time, these 3 breaths of time were more than enough for Zhuowen. Swoosh! A beam of sword light flashed and instantly swept towards Saiku Hongfei's vital point. Saiku Hongfei was very smart. In a life-and-death situation, he forcefully shifted his body, and the sword light finally landed on his right arm. Saiku Hongfei's right arm was severed at the shoulder. Divine blood splattered everywhere as the severed arm was sent flying. The moment Saiku Hongfei's right arm was severed, he finally broke free from the formation's restraint and quickly retreated. At the same time, he tried to snatch his severed arm back as he retreated. Unfortunately, Zhuowen's reaction was faster than his. Before he made his move, he shook his right hand and endless sword light shot up into the sky and shredded the severed arm into pieces. "Little bastard, you're courting death." Saiku Hongfei's eyes were scarlet. He was completely enraged. He never thought that he would suffer such a great loss at the hands of Gu Xingbian. If news of this spread, he would be ridiculed by everyone. Zhuowen looked at Saiku Hongfei coldly. Although Saiku Hongfei was still very strong, he wasn't afraid. This was because he could see that Saiku Hongfei hadn't released his most powerful universe world from the beginning. This meant that in the battle with Lu Yuanba, Saiku Hongfei's universe world was very likely damaged and couldn't be used at all. For a great carefree realm expert, being unable to use his universe world was equivalent to an ordinary person losing both arms. His strength would be greatly reduced. "Saiku Hongfei, your defeat is certain." Zhuowen's right foot stomped on the air and flew towards Saiku Hongfei again. This time, his Abhijna and Formation Dao were side by side. He wanted to completely defeat Saiku Hongfei. However, he didn't notice that Saiku Hongfei's expression had suddenly calmed down. He no longer looked flustered and exasperated. Then, Zhuowen saw Saiku Hongfei take out a treasured wheel from his spirit ring. The ring of this treasure wheel was made up of all kinds of ferocious strange beasts. They came in all shapes and sizes and looked very strange. "Humph! You forced me to use the demon wheel. Little bastard, you will die today even if you don't." After taking out this strange wheel, Saiku Hongfei's expression became extremely ugly. This demon wheel was a fragment of a rank 7 astral weapon. It was the highest level weapon of the Jinshui clan. Saiku Hongfei had always kept it. Logically speaking, Saiku Hongfei didn't really want to use the demon wheel because the weapon spirit of this astral weapon was too evil and greedy. In order to feed this astral weapon, Saiku Hongfei had to sacrifice millions of creatures almost every month for this astral weapon spirit to eat. The Jinshui clan did have a lot of creatures, but the demon wheel's weapon spirit's appetite was too big. Even though Saiku Hongfei was a domain guardian, he still couldn't bear it. Moreover, every time the demon wheel was used, the weapon spirit would ask for a sky-high price to extort more creatures. This was the main reason why Saiku Hongfei didn't want to use this astral weapon. "Kakik! Saiku Hongfei, are you finally going to use this seed again?" An extremely evil voice came from the evil ghost demonic wheel. Then, an extremely rich purple-black light emerged from the evil ghost demonic wheel. This beam of light was too evil. It made people feel cold and uncomfortable just by looking at it. Saiku Hongfei didn't answer, but his expression became unnatural. "Let's make it clear. Sacrifice 5 million creatures, and this seat will help you once. This seat has already given you a discount." The evil voice came from the demon wheel again. "Okay, as long as you help me kill that kid." Saiku Hongfei gnashed his teeth in hatred. He could only swallow his anger in the face of the weapon spirit's exorbitant demand. Not far away, Yuan looked as if he was facing a great enemy. He frowned as he looked at the demon wheel that Psycho Hongfei took out. He felt an extremely uncomfortable sense of threat from that thing. What a powerful aura. Could it be a rank 7 astral weapon fragment? Zhuan stared at the demon wheel. He could clearly feel the aura of an astral weapon from it, and it was much stronger than the purple gold divine sword in his hand. This demon wheel was very likely a rank 7 astral weapon fragment that was of a higher level than the purple gold divine sword. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.